Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
The Aggie baseball game against Sam today at 4 o'clock. They changed that up, OB.
Why don't they change it up?
I don't know. Maybe Sam needs to get back early. I don't think it's a weather thing, but maybe it just makes more sense.
Well, whatever. Look, the earlier the better, as I always say.
Early.
Michael Early.
I like Michael Early.
Yeah.
OB, I got some numbers for you because, you know, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. You know that, right? Jay-Z,
yeah.
Great song back in the day.
I didn't know that was a song.
Yeah, it's a lyric. But
does it have the numbers part in it, too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And I got some numbers for you.
Okay.
All right, this actually came from A&M's SID department. It says they're one of the hottest teams in baseball, which is true, 9 of 10, right?
Yeah.
During this stretch, they're averaging 11.2 runs per game and have outscored their opponents 112-49.
All right. Let's hope they can keep that going.
I'm going to give you some more numbers.
All right, more.
Because, you know, I love numbers.
You got to like numbers.
Bear Harrison, Caden Kent, Jace Laviolette, and Caden Sorrell have powered the Aggies offense in the last 10 games, and they've combined for 10 doubles, 19 homers, 43 walks, and 62 RBI. Oh, by the way, in that group, they're batting .381.
See, that's what we were waiting on.
Yep.
And now that it's arrived, let's hope that this is who they're going to. I'm not saying they're always going to hit that high an average.
Yeah.
But let's hope that this is how they're going to be the rest of the year.
Those 10 games include...
Because if they're that the rest of the year's going to end in Omaha.
Those 10 games include 8 against SEC teams.
Yeah.
6 of those 8 are...
Right.
Well, actually, sorry. 5 of the 7 are Tennessee
and Arkansas.
And Arkansas. At the times, 1 and 2.
Yeah. Keep it going.
Yeah.
You know, keep it going. They are right now they're the team we always expected them to be. We thought they were going to be a big hitting team, get good starting pitching. We worried about the relief pitching even before the season started. They're starting to get some traction there. So you hope that they have just turned the corner, and this is who they are now. I think each week that it's still a proving ground.
It still is, and it's another data point, but they are for sure not the team that was terrible early in the year, right? No. They've gone away from that team, okay? Are they this team the rest of the way? We'll have to wait and find out. If they're somewhere in the middle, they don't make the tournament. So they have to be closer to and I mean, right now they're a tournament team.
I think they're going to make it.
Yeah.
I think they'll make it if they sweep Missouri, which is winless in conference play, and win at least one game
in each of the series.
I'm not saying that's all I want, but if they win at least one game in the rest of the series, what is there? 3 other series besides Missouri left? You got Texas, LSU.
Got it right there. You got Texas, LSU, Missouri, and Georgia.
Right. So if you swept Missouri and won at least 3, that'd give you 6 wins. Right now you've got 8.
You know what I'd be happy with? I mean,
win them all?
Well, yeah, every single game ever would be great. But if they won the series this weekend, I might party. I might dance. I might stay out past midnight. No, I might stay out past 10.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they win this. We all are.
Hey.
And if the Aggies do win that series, I can think of all kinds of debaucherous behavior.
Yeah.
None of them to the degree of the Texas coach, but I can still come up with a lot of debaucherous behavior to celebrate.
I might seriously party. I've told Kay before, like, if the Aggies win this football game, I will meet you guys at Northgate. Every time I've said that, they've lost. I think one time they didn't, and the traffic was so bad that I was like, oh, I can't walk.
You're going to meet them on a Sunday night?
Yes. I don't care what night it is.
All right.
If they sweep, you think if they sweep?
Well, maybe not Sunday.
If they sweep, I might celebrate by doing my old the old.
But there's the other side.
Beard trick that I haven't done since I was like in my mid-20s.
Which was that one?
Remember I told you I'd take a picture, I'd fill it about 3/4 of the way, and I would chug it without touching it with my hands.
Oh, yeah.
I probably can't do it anymore, but I could try.
We should do that on air with water.
Well, no, it doesn't really work with water. If you're water, it's hard.
I don't know if it's allowed to drink alcohol in the air. Maybe it is.
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Anyway, I mean,
Anywho.
That would be worthy of the greatest celebration.
Because we are journalists, sometimes, I'll say that the reverse of that, if A&M were to get swept, I'll go to bed early that night. Okay? I'll go to bed at 8.
Yeah, you know what? I would probably do that, but still stay up because I'd be, tossing and turning and
I'd be angry.
Playing the game of my mind.
They got to take care of Sam Houston today.
Yes.
All right? Take care of Sam.
Bearcats.
Beat him. Treat him nicely. Be very respectful, but beat him by 10.
I respect Sam Houston. Again, I don't know what they're like now, but I know they've historically, way back in the John Skeeters era, and since then, they put together. They have a really strong baseball program, and to say, hey, we're willing to come over here every year and play the Aggies.
Yeah. Did you see Heather Dinich's report? By the way, this is called a transition without really having a good transition. Heather Dinich's report about the spring meetings happening in Las Colinas this week for the annual spring meetings?
I have not.
Okay. I'm going to read you something that I think will catch your attention.
Okay.
Awful Announcing took this little piece out. So it's from Heather, but I saw it on Awful Announcing. One possibility, which could be viewed as a compromise, is having conferences earn automatic bids through their play each season, a model in which each Power 4 league can earn guaranteed spots through a combination of its teams, get ready for it, overall records, and maybe even TV ratings.
No. See, I hate that.
That's stupid.
Well, first of all, outside of a conference championship, I don't think there should be automatics. And I know the SEC said, but you're going to look at the just win-loss records, and our road to hoe is so much harder. If you're better, now I do think that they should take committees out and put strength of schedule component into a computer system. But I think the conference champions should automatically get in. Everybody else should have to earn it.
But
and if you're a really good conference, like you say you are, you're going to get those teams anyway.
I'm sure this is like just a negotiating tactic. There's no way that TV ratings.
That's ridiculous.
Like that, come on. All right, let's just put WWE in the
What I would want to know is who is the person that even suggested that, and that person
fired.
Should not even be, because again, that goes back to A&M getting effed over in 2020 because Notre Dame and Ohio State have a bigger brand.
I could just see this like fake meeting, it's like the Office episode, and they got like a little wall in the background. They're like, everybody, throw out an idea. No idea is bad. And they start writing down, and one person's like, automatic qualifiers. Oh, TV ratings. If they have a lot of people who watch them, doesn't matter the record, put them on there.
I really cannot believe anybody would even suggest that. Maybe Heather just came up with it. I don't think so.
It's one of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
It may be the worst.
Yeah, let's give it the worst.
It may be worse than say, hey, we're going to fine or we're going to take a win away if your fans storm the field. Remember that one?
What are the worst?
And it was Alabama that was suggesting it's always self-serving.
What are the worst rules ever, like ideas like that in sports history?
Well, you could go all the way back. They're all in college football. You could go back to the original BCS alignment. There's just over and over.
All-star game in baseball. Winner decides home field advantage.
Yeah, for the World Series, right? That was insane. It was Bud Selig. There's a lot of stupid rules because how about in Texas high school sports when they say, well, we're going to let 4 teams get into the playoffs and we're going to have 2 divisions.
2 divisions.
Yeah, whatever happened to saying, hey, you're the best team.
Yeah.
Let's find out who the best teams are. Anyway, there's just tons of bad rules. It's just because people are always trying to placate others.
Placators.
Instead of just say, hey, why don't we just find out who's best?
Yeah. The NCAA is also proposing eliminating 153 longstanding rules from its handbook. 9 major legislative changes proposed, including direct play to players. They're just trying to be in line for when the House settlement happens. Effective date would be June 15th with these new benefits coming.
Okay, well, first of all, the NCAA rule book was always so huge and it needed to be streamlined. So if you're going to take, and it has been, but if you're going to take even more bureaucracy out of it, then okay, that's good.
Hey, as a father of girls who play athletics, scholarship expansion and expected to double the number of scholarships available in women's sports, representing a significant investment in gender equity in Title IX.
I thought we already had a rule that you had to have the same amount of.
But I think they're going to double, or I don't know if double is the right word, but they're going to add a lot more because, like, I don't have the exact numbers on me. Somebody can fact check me, but like soccer, for instance, I believe gets like 13 and a half scholarships.
Okay.
Maybe it's a little bit less than that. I think those numbers are. It's not. I think that's the future is you're going to have more scholarships. You won't just be held to 13. So, like on the soccer team right now, girls have to split scholarships oftentimes.
All right. Well, yeah, they do that in baseball.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
But I guess what I'm not clear is, and maybe I've been going off and being all ignorant for a long time. But it was my understanding that through Title IX, you had to provide as many scholarships for women as you did men.
Correct.
So, and you had like soccer and equestrian to make up the difference that of the 85 you get in football.
Correct, but now you're going to get more. I guess they're just going to increase the limits.
So you're going to add the men's.
I think, well, yeah, men are going to be able to do more than 85 scholarships, right? I think they're going to be able to do the one over. Everybody can have a scholarship.
So they're all telling me that they're worried about money.
But they're going to give more scholarships.
But they're giving out more scholarships. See, I need somebody to sit down and say, okay, Olin, you're an imbecile, so let me explain how adding more scholarships saves us money.
We'll talk to Mitt Winter at some point in the next week or so, the lawyer we had a couple weeks ago. All NIL deals over $600 must be disclosed, and a NIL clearinghouse, which we knew about, will monitor those agreements to make sure they are within the expected compensation ranges and maintain oversight.
Yeah, there's another one. Again, if I get a deal, the Supreme Court told me that I can get my NIL deals. So if I get a deal for $100,000, this clearinghouse is going to decide if I can do it or not. But the Supreme Court's already said I can.
Yeah, the whole thing is stupid. The only way is if they get some antitrust and they become employees. And I don't think that's happening this year. I don't. Can I bring up one other topic? We're already late, but can I bring up one other topic that's probably going to eliminate half our audience, but just for a minute? Are you familiar with Nico Harrison?
Yeah, that buffoon. He's probably made some of these. He's probably the guy that suggested the TV ratings.
So I don't know if you know this. A couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, he had like a no recorders allowed media session. And it was supposed to be about the new arena. By the way, I thought the AAC was new, but it's already 20 years old. I guess I'm old. But they're talking about a new arena in Dallas. Great timing with the whole Luka trade, guys. I'm sure that'll pass. And he didn't allow, and of course a lot of the questions were about Luka. He didn't like it. So yesterday he had an open session. And did you see what he said?
Yes.
That he was not aware that how much the fans deeply loved Luka before the trade.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's what people did to, they're throwing apples and fruit and stuff at Nico Harrison.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wasn't aware of that. The top 3 selling jersey in the NBA, beloved, got you to the finals. His second all-time in playoff scoring. He didn't know that the Maverick fans would be upset.
That just goes to show that just because you're educated doesn't mean you're intelligent. There's a big difference between intelligence and education. He probably went to Stanford or Harvard or someplace like that, and he's still a dumbass in so many ways. And the fact that this guy has not been fired, I would fire him, rehire him, just so I could fire him again. That's how stupid this guy is.
And I think even more stupid,
yeah,
the owners.
For absolutely.
Can you imagine if I just traded Billy Lucci to a fake company, all right? Can you imagine? Like, that's the equivalent of what happened here. I'm going to trade Billy Lucci for this fake guy who kind of writes about the Aggies, not really. And but hey, now we have a season. No, he's the best. Well, sorry, Billy, I shouldn't prop you here.
But like you said, not only the best, but extremely popular. And you didn't know that? And now if you're the owner, I'll give the ownership this. A lot of times the owners don't even, and I don't know if this is the case, a lot of times the owners don't even know what's going on with their team. They hire a general manager or somebody else to run the team, and they got other businesses, and they just want to know things are going well. But
if Nico Harrison was the director on The Godfather, he would trade Al Pacino.
There is one person in this world that would have made that trade. There's one, and it's Nico Harrison.
Let's go through some of the best at their craft, okay? I had Al Pacino for The Godfather.
Yeah.
All right, Nico would have traded Eddie Murphy from Beverly Hills Cop, for sure. What else?
He would have traded Oppenheimer for, I'm talking about...
A real spy?
For the wrong guy, for Goring.
Yes, I don't know.
Or, I guess Oppenheimer for, what was it? Hirohito.
Hirohito?
Yeah, he would have, because they dropped the bomb on Japan. Anyway, because, I know this, and I know the World War II reference is going to offend somebody, I don't care. You sent, like I was talking about Oppenheimer or Einstein, you sent the best you had, probably arguably the best in the league, to a hated rival.
In your conference.
And then you didn't know that this would be a bad idea because you have a history with Anthony Davis, who's older and
always
not,
injury prone.
Older, not as good, and always hurt.
All right, we'll move on from that. I would have understood the trade had it been Kyrie. I don't think I would have agreed with it, but I would have understood the strategy. Trading away a young superstar is stupid every time. All right, let's move on. I don't think the people might think they're listening to MavsAgs.com. You're not. You're listening to TexAgs live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, and I'm going to do it fast. We're currently in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, where they take care of your investments, your estate planning, and what else? Taxes. And they can help you get a pro sports team by going to investinprosports.com.
Just don't make it the Mavericks.
Actually, we probably should. Somebody else needs to take over.
Buy low, so.
If you want to call the show, we'll pick it up on the Bubby's Catering hotline. That number, 979-693-1150. You can text that number as well. We go around the room, left to right, behind the glasses. Nick Savage. Nick, a fireworks kind of morning, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, howdy, good morning, y'all. And OB, by the way, I will never be tired of World War II references, history, stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. So, on the money today. I got a quick note for y'all. This comes from Cade Bickham in the back. Go read his Ball 5 article on TexAgs.com. But we talk so much about this offense. We know this pitching staff is good, but this kind of speaks to the depth of the SEC. The Aggie pitching staff, their K percentage is 39th best in the nation, which there's a lot of D1 baseball programs, but they're 13th best in the SEC. And their strikeout minus walk percentage, which basically says how many more at-bats end in strikeouts to walks, is 9th best in the nation, but 8th best in the SEC. So, again, dominant pitching staff. It's been really good, but the SEC is just a whole different level of league.
It is.
That tells you is...
I'm depressed. That's what it tells me.
Yeah. Well, what that tells you is just make the tournament, man, and you're going to have a chance.
Just get in. You know what? I'll make it even easier. Just give us a regional now. Just save you time.
You might get it if you win this series this week.
God, that would feel so good. It would feel really good. It would be like really, really good.
Yeah.
Like really good. You know what kind of good I'm talking about, right? Like that kind of good.
I know what kind of good you're talking about.
What was that voice?
I don't know.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reed Neal, please don't use that. Actually, please use that voice.
I'm going to pass on that one.
What do you got in your world, buddy?
So earlier you were talking about the game getting moved up to 4, and it actually is due to inclement weather.
Oh, it is? Okay.
According to the A&M website. And then I also wanted to just say that last year, Sam Houston, we only won to them by 1 run. It was a pretty tight game.
Remember that's the game that Schlossnagle said I should be fired?
That's the one?
Yeah, because Sam Houston, I said that game would mean more to Sam Houston than it is.
Oh, that's right. You want to? Okay. Do you know the story?
Not really.
Okay. Kind of explain it so he knows what you're talking about.
It's just what I said. We were on the show. We were talking about Sam Houston. I said, "Look, that's a good program. This guy's got to be Aggie's got to be ready to play because I guarantee you, this game means more to Sam Houston than it does to A&M. You're Sam Houston. You get a chance to prove something to yourself if you go beat A&M. You aspire to play for A&M." And Schlossnagle took that and in the post-game press conference said, "Yeah, some guy said this. It means more to that guy should have to get he should lose his job." Like, all right, just wait, Schlossnagle. I'll have
wait for what? Wait for what?
Well, he spends a lot of time waiting for one to understand.
Do you have anything else to provide, Reed?
Just that the number 1 Texas A&M softball team is also playing tonight at 5 p.m. We earned our first national number 1 ranking last week, and we also sweep the board in all 4 nationally recognized polls. So
I'm okay with we in this instance, being the number 1 team in the country.
Look, we are a fan site.
Yeah.
We
are.
So we're not part of the team, and we cover the team professionally. But let's face it, we do want them to win.
We are the Aggies are we.
True to each other, like Aggies can be or should be or something like that.
By the way,
we got to fight, boys. We got to fight. I know that part.
For the what?
For the maroon and white.
Thank you.
White.
I forgot that part. Anyway, I'm kidding. Let's talk about food. I'm just going to say food.
Food.
You say
1775.
Can you talk about 1775 in that voice you did earlier?
1775.
That's not the voice I'm talking about. That creepy guy.
Yeah, 1775. Yeah, but there's nothing creepy about 1775.
But they would feed a creepy person.
They feed me every time I go over there, so I guess it's true. 1775, amazing Texas barbecue, the succulent brisket, the incredible sausage with the jalapeno and the cheese, made into it. The turkey for guys like him is always watching their weight. Got to make sure you're at a deficit, as he's always talking about.
I've been right now I'm in a deficit, but I've been in a surplus a lot.
Yeah, because he gets the surplus when he has that queso mac and cheese that you just can't say no to. And of course, the pork ribs. I love them. I love those pork ribs.
I'm just remembering that on Saturdays they have the raspberry chipotle pork belly burnt ends.
That sounds pretty good.
That sounds freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to go. Yeah.
I kind of got my own pork belly here.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Call them up at 979-492-6241 or go to 1775txbbq.com. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studios, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. We have some breaking news. We're going to go to Nick Savage here in a moment. But before we do that, we've got other breaking news that I was not aware of. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where we find Reed Neal. We've got a report coming in exclusive to TexAgs, and that is what?
It's Nick Savage's birthday today.
That's why he's dressed like a
sent in by
model.
Nick's mom, to be more specific.
Hello, Mrs. Savage. Good to see you, or hear you, or read from you. Happy birthday, Nick.
Yeah, happy birthday, Nick. I want Nick to wear a cowboy hat because I'm telling you, if you'll go back and look at Nick Savage and go back to and see early pictures of Hank Williams,
they kind of look alike.
Same guy.
I think that should be a requirement one day a week on the show. If you're on the air, if you work for TexAgs, you wear a cowboy hat.
Well, I can do it now with these, these
He's got his Wranglers
headphones. So yeah, I do. Breaking news I'll share with y'all real quick. Joni Taylor giving me a birthday gift, I guess. Fatmata Janae is a transfer from St. Peter, 6'2" forward, averaged 18.2 points per game and 11.6 rebounds per game last season. So
that sounds like a player.
Yeah, that's a good player there. She's signed, sealed, and delivered. So
now what's that name again?
Taylor.
Yeah, I hope you say it.
Fatmata Janae.
Fatmata Janae.
You sure it's not Janae?
Jana. This is the last name.
So
we're still figuring it out.
Jana's the last name?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever. I heard that Coach McMillan is trying to, among other guys in the portal, is trying to get Federico.
Take him too.
From Texas Tech?
Yeah, that'd be a great one.
Federico.
By the way.
Did his parents stutter or what?
Isn't that one of the characters on Naked Gun?
Federico, I don't know. Good thing it's not from Mississippi.
Can we do the performance of the week?
Yeah, let's do.
All right. Let's see who we have on the performance of the week. I'm going to let you have the first one.
Well, we talked about it some yesterday, but I was really impressed with Luke Jackson, a guy we don't hear a lot about, but we've had angst and concerns about the bullpen, and he came in that third game against Arkansas. Man, he was nails.
Yeah, he was.
He pitched 3 2/3.
Yep, and I have the combined. There it is, right there. 3 2/3, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. I also, because I think you have to do.
Of course you do.
You have to do Weston Miles. So combine those two, went 8 2/3, scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, 5 hits, 1 walk. Look at Weston Miles right there with his 5 strikeouts and 3 hits.
Yeah. Caden Kent had a big weekend again.
Clutch Kent.
Yeah. It's even better than Clark Kent.
Yeah. I like that one better.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that a shirt.
Remember Clutch Cargo?
No.
Of course you don't.
Yeah. Who's Clutch Cargo?
It's an old TV show, old cartoon.
Okay.
And then, of course, the big dude.
You're talking about Jace?
I'm talking about Jace.
Jace Laviolette?
Yeah.
How about that weekend he had? 5 of 14, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, and I almost said RBI, and 8 runs.
Huge.
He's got, 14 homers on the year, Nick? Am I right about that? I believe I'm right on the 14 home runs. Remember when people were like, I don't know if he's worthy of that number 1 or 2 pick? Like, bro, he's putting up those
15 home runs.
15 home runs.
Season stats right there.
15 home runs.
Yeah, he's playing great.
He's fantastic. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I'm sure Reed Neal's got a couple of nominees for us.
So Ernest Campbell took first place in the 100-meter dash this weekend with 10.57 seconds. And then also we have a couple softball players. Coco Woolley had 6 hits and 3 stolen bases. And then Amari Harper is on her 19 game on base streak.
I'll give some other props out there. A&M did great. Their track and field team did great in Eugene. Awesome stuff. They'll continue to being great. Women's tennis did not win the SEC tournament, but they got to the final. They lost to Georgia. That is a heated rivalry.
They'll probably see Georgia again.
Yeah.
So let me get this. The softball team has Coco and KK.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Another shirt.
And now we're trying to get Federico.
We've really got to start making shirts. Like, these ideas would make us at least $12.
At least.
I mean, maybe 15 on a good weekend if you get a sell.
Slow down.
Okay. But, yeah, let's do this. Let's hit a break. Let's talk to Charean Williams. I don't know if you know this, Obi. I do know that you know. She's great, by the way. You know that.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's
she could be.
She's legendary.
She is legendary. This is the NFL draft week.
I know.
Yeah, so we're going to have to talk to her about some NFL draft guys that we're familiar with. All right, we'll do that. I actually heard Jimbo yesterday on the radio talking about some of our players and also Walter Nolan. Jimbo's pretty good on radio. I like listening to him.
Okay.
There you go. Cheerio.
He likes to talk fast.
He does. Let's introduce the Double Up BOGO wine sale at Twin Liquors. Oh, Twin Liquors, what's up? If you buy a bottle of wine and get an identical bottle for $2, the amazing sale is only available on select wines in-store. Shop now through the end of the month. That sale ends April 30th. It's a perfect way and opportunity to stock up for whatever gathering you're going to have. Spring celebrations, double up and save. Spring is in full swing, and so are the events at Twin. Visit twinliquors.com/events to find the full list of events happening this month. It is awesome to go. You need to check it out. BOGO Wine Sale at Twin Liquors. It's the Double Up BOGO Wine Sale. Check out the website again. It is twinliquors.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little everything, because we can do everything with Charean Williams. We go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. We're joined by Pro Football Talks and the Aggie Hall of Famer, Charean Williams. Charean, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Really well. Doing really well. Aggie sports are doing well, which makes me happy. And I guess I'll start things off with you on the baseball team. Huge week coming up, but following another big series win.
Yeah, watched a couple of the games. It was fun to see them beat Arkansas, play like they're playing. They're playing awfully well. So watched a little softball this week. The last game of that one was disappointing, but 2 out of 3 is ultimately what you want to do. But yeah, it was a good overall good weekend. A little sad about tennis. Watched a little bit of the Georgia match and the Texas match, and glad they beat Texas. Wish they could have beaten Georgia again, but hey, it's probably going to be those 2 teams in the final, and so we'll go do that. But yeah, baseball is going to be fun this week. I think it's the series that everybody had circled on their calendar when the schedule came out, and it's still that way, and everyone's still going to be watching nationally. It's not just, locally. It's not just in-state. This is a national series that everyone has an eye on. The Aggies are playing much better, and Texas has looked, frankly, unstoppable this year.
I expect a lot of inside pitches.
A lot of inside
pitches in this game, in this series, I should say. What do you expect to see? Or are you going to watch it? Because I know the job, I guess, is going to have you busy with with the NFL just reading off a bunch of names.
Well, fortunately, there's 4 TVs in the TV room, so yes, I will have it on. Will not have the sound on, obviously, because I'll be working at least Friday and Saturday. So we'll not have the sound on, but we'll be watching the series, and hopefully we can pull it out. I don't know what to expect. I mean, Texas loses a pitcher, and they lose one of their best players, and they just seem to keep rolling and rolling out players. It's going to be a huge task to try to win even 2 out of 3, but I hope that's what they're able to do. It was a huge task at Tennessee. It was a huge task at Arkansas, and they managed to pull those off. So they're playing with a lot of confidence. And, at this point, we've talked about this over and over again. This isn't how you wanted the season to play out. They're obviously not going to get, any of these postseason games at home. And that's not what you wanted, because it is a good home field advantage. But it's all about getting to the postseason. And once you're there, doing something with it. And this team has an opportunity, despite what happened early in the year, despite how bad they played, how ugly it looked, they have a chance still to do something really, really special. And it's probably started at the Tennessee weekend, after the no-hitter and the run rule. That's when they turned it around. But this really feels like a huge test to me. And if they're able to win the series, then I think we're talking about, okay, this team truly is a contender for the national title. If they win 1 out of 3 on the road, and they play well in the other 2, I think you're still looking at them probably that same way. This is a team that's special, that's got a chance to do something really special. It's about getting to the postseason and doing something with that when you get there, and they're headed in that direction. Still a lot of work to do, but they're playing awfully well right now.
Charean, you alluded to it a moment ago. Jared Spencer's their Friday night starter, and I don't know if there's any new news. It didn't look good. I think he pitched 43 against Auburn, and I don't know if there's been an update on his availability this week, and so that's something to watch. I know that the folks on the YouTube page say they don't expect him to be pitching this weekend. Let's talk about the Aggie spring football game, Did you take in any of it? Any thoughts about what you saw this weekend?
Well, I saw some highlights and I saw some criticism of the offense. But look, I read what Mike Elko said about, didn't want to put your signs out there. You don't know who's sitting in the stands, so you huddled every play. This wasn't their true offense. And I don't know if there's much to take from a spring game, to be honest. I think we saw a pass rusher who we feel like is going to be pretty good, and I hope that says that he's going to be really, really good, and the offensive line isn't going to be really, really bad. But we'll find out about that. But yeah, I think you're encouraged by some of the front seven that you saw in that game, and the back end too. I just think defensively they're going to be awfully good, and they're going to keep A&M in games, and then it's up to the offense to score enough points. So, you're missing some running backs, you're missing some key players in that offense. I'm not worried about the offense at all. They're going to be fine. The defense is going to be very good. It's how good is the offense going to be? There's a difference between fine and good and great, obviously. So we'll see. So I don't put much stock in the way the offense played in the game, but I do think it's encouraging with the way the defense played.
I'm going to tell you, Charean, I'm looking beyond the spring game and into next year. I'm very optimistic about the offense. I think they're going to score a lot of points. My concern is with the defense and if they're going to be able, where's the pass rush going to come from, and are they going to be able to cover better? Now, if they do both of those things, then I think it could be a big year.
Well, and I also think, Olin, that the play calling on defense is going to be better than it was last year. There were some deficiencies there last year. And Mike Elko would agree with you there. There was some play calling problems with that defense. Those will be fixed this year. I just feel like that is going to improve this defense greatly going forward. The talent may not be quite as good in the defensive line. I mean, come on. I mean, what you've had the last couple of years in that defensive line has been some first-round talent when you factor in the guys who transferred. I mean, that's some talent that you've lost out of that defensive line. But because of the play calling, I just think that in the scheme, I just think that the defense can be as good, if not better, this next year. And they played pretty well last year. They, even the Texas game, they kept A&M in the game. I mean, giving up 17 points to that offense is pretty darn good. That gives you a chance to win, and they did that.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Live. All right, Charean, what are you hearing about the Shamar Stewart first-rounder?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. It's just a matter of how high he goes, who likes him, and where these quarterbacks fall, I think is gonna have a big say in that. But he's definitely going in the first round. I don't think there's any question. I think there's a very slim chance that Nick Scorton could sneak into that first round. I think Walter Nolan's going some point in the first round, maybe near the end of the first round, but I think he'll go in the first round. And then I think, second day, we're looking at Shamar Turner is probably going to go somewhere in that second day.
Walter Nolan, I think whoever drafts him is going to ultimately be disappointed. I know Charean remembers Albert Haynesworth, who was a really good player when he was motivated, but he was rarely motivated, and he's from Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that Walter Nolan's not going to be the same type of guy.
I've said that. I've told people that. I think that he has a chance to be the biggest bust in this draft class. And it is all about the motivation. I mean, we know how talented he is. He was the number one prospect in that draft, in that recruiting class. He's talented, no question about that. But how motivated is he? And when he gets the money, even more money, how motivated is he going to be? I think that's a huge question. And if he's not, then he is going to be one of the biggest busts in this draft class. There's no question about that. So certainly some red flags there for me. And I think he's going to be one of the most interesting prospects to watch in this draft to see how high or how low he goes. He's going in the first round. It's just a matter of, who's going to take the chance on him to say, all right, we can keep him motivated. We can, keep him doing what he needs to be doing on the field and off the field to be a good player. And so I'm going to watch closely. He's to me one of the, Shedeur Sanders obviously is one, but there's 3 or 4 players, and he's one of them for me that I'm going to be watching very closely.
Conversely, I've heard the opposite when it comes to Shamar Stewart. I was listening to Jimbo Fisher yesterday on the radio on Sirius, and he was just glowing about his personality and his traits, that, yes, the numbers weren't there, but it's a guy that he believes once he gets it, is going to get it at the next level.
Yeah, the numbers are a little bit troubling. There's no question about that, because you want to know why the production wasn't there, but he was always around the quarterback. So, that's what they always – Jadeveon Clowney, okay? people hear his name. Oh, he's awesome. Do you know that he's never had double-digit sacks in the NFL? Never. Not once in his NFL season has he had double-digit sacks. 9 has been the most that he's ever had in the NFL, maybe 9.5, but he's never had 10. So, but everyone would say he's disruptive. He affects the run game. He's always around the quarterback. He forces quick throws. So it doesn't have to be about the sack numbers. Yes, you want the sack numbers, but it doesn't have to be about the sack numbers. You can still affect an offense just being in the backfield and just affecting the run game and getting after the quarterback and forcing those quick throws. So, he will be very good at the NFL level. I have no question that he's going to be an outstanding pass rusher in the NFL. Whatever the numbers are, he's going to be really good at getting to the quarterback.
Charean, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Charean Williams on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. Appreciate her time. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with some final thoughts. Right now, Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're the best when it comes to finding your vehicle. They're going to take great care of you. If you're a business owner and you want to take your operation to the next level, make sure you reach out to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They've expanded their selection of commercial vehicles to meet every need that you may have. They've got the service body trucks, the heavy-duty flatbeds, the medium-duty trucks that can handle those tough jobs, and they've got the muscle for your business demands. And they're a newly designed business elite dealer, which means they're going to keep your company moving forward. And every commercial vehicle comes with that legendary free oil change for life because they believe in supporting local businesses like they support Aggie Athletics. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryant, to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, let's go hour, by the way. Did you see the quote-unquote trade that happened in college football?
Trade?
It's not really a trade, but
what are you
they're framing it as a trade. Joey Aguilar.
Oh, for
Nico? Yeah. So Joey Aguilar was at App State, transfers to UCLA to become their starting quarterback, goes through all spring camp, and then Nico decides to go. There's a lot of Nico in the news.
Yeah.
Nico Harrison and the jet plane. So Nico goes to UCLA, and now you've got Joey Aguilar going
to Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Tennessee's not going to get the best end of that deal.
They might. I haven't seen enough of him play. In fact, I don't know if I've seen him play.
But yeah, I don't either. But I've seen Nico play.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean, he's so overhyped.
He is,
and now he's going to be with less talent. Yeah, okay, he's going to be in a lesser conference, but he's also going to be with less talent.
Well, and I saw it somewhere on Twitter. I don't remember who did it, but this is not the first time we've seen this kind of trade, quote unquote trade.
Yeah,
we saw it here at A&M. Yeah. Trevor Knight, Kyler Murray. Love Trevor Knight. I'm happy he became an Aggie. He was great and is an awesome contributor to the show. But you know, if you are Tennessee and you get Trevor Knight value, I think that's a win for them.
Yes, because you lose the drama.
You lose the drama. You get a. I mean, again, I don't know enough about Aguilar to tell you.
Joey Aguilar last year, 3,003 passing yards, 23 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 65.7 QBR.
I don't like the 14 interceptions. Everything else sounds great.
Yeah.
So I believe his younger brother left Arkansas to go to UCLA.
Yeah.
As well.
Is he also a quarterback?
Yeah.
Huh.
What a family. Well, the football version of the Ball family of basketball.
Yeah, it's
always
I do think I forget who it was. I talked about it yesterday, but somebody's like, it was Lane Kiffin. There's more to the story, apparently. There may be more to the story, but if you're leaving and holding your team hostage, regardless, that's it.
Hey, you made an agreement, and then you reneged on the agreement.
Yep.
And that makes me question the kind of person you are.
Thank you, OB. Appreciate you. All right, hour number 2 of the program. Oh, we got some legends coming in at 9 o'clock. Josh Pate. He'll be in at 9 o'clock exactly. And then Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Aggies, with us at 9:35. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's do our weekly conversation with Josh Pate, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, that carry a wide selection of the best brands, including Easton, Rawlings, and Wilson. And Academy, you can shop for the latest bats, gloves, cleats, clothing, protective gear, and training equipment, and plus much, much more. With that, we go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. Our buddy Josh Pate. What's up, brother?
Well, it's occurred to me, sir, that when I join you from this couch, you can see the fan going in the mirror there. So I turned it off a minute ago, and we almost got it to fully stop. I could use the broom handle and reach up there, but I just didn't. So there you go, the last effects of a stopping a dying fan for the morning.
I would have never noticed it. I'm glad you brought it up, so now I can, just focus on that. Josh, every week I wonder to myself, how are we going to advance the story in college football? And every week we have ways to advance the story. First, let's go with this whole Tennessee swap. I was just talking to OB about it. Joey Aguilar's going to Tennessee now. Nico going to UCLA. Kind of works out, I think, really well for Tennessee.
Yeah, let's see about that. I'd love for it to, because I'd love for that to just be the story. If you and I were watching a movie, normally, unless it's a horror movie, you're going to get some kind of satisfying ending or delivery. So that's the way it would work out if it were a movie. Not always working out that way in college football or sports in general. That's the beauty of authentic competition. But I do agree with you that if Josh Heupel is who we think he is, if that system is not the most complex thing in the world to pick up, and then the parts that are certain, if Aguilar is a guy who probably has a chip on his shoulder the size of the state of Tennessee, and his coaching staff will feel the same way, specifically his head coach will feel the same way, then yeah, I do agree with you. And then in the whole financial aggregate, you get the side effect of you're not having to pay a guy $2, $3, or whatever he wanted, $4 million. And who knows, they may get the same kind of production, which leads to a broader discussion. And this extends beyond Tennessee. That leads to a broader discussion, sort of the way, the Moneyball era made us talk about baseball a generation ago of, well, if you're going to get 87% the production that you would have gotten but for $113 million less, isn't that a really good move? Well, the answer is yes, it is a good move. Is that what's about to happen? Not to call Tennessee a Moneyball team or anything, but is that about to happen in theory in college football? And then, David, the broader reaching tentacles of this whole thing, which you and I could spend like the rest of today, tomorrow, and next day on, is could we be looking at a situation that we probably had to go through in order to get out, not clean on the other side, but wherever we want to go on the other side? Because this, to me, was one of those take someone by the head, peel their eyelids back, and force them to see the problem type moments in college football or college athletics, because there probably were some holdouts. There probably were some people who, oh, it'll work itself out. It's not that bad. It's not that big a deal. Then this happens. And even those people have to kind of grit their teeth and say, yeah, I guess we do have a problem we need to address.
Josh, I think my point is that Tennessee was put in a situation where no matter what, you have another guy, a capable guy. We'll see how capable he is, but the alternative was, you're getting a guy who was probably going to be a starter on a Power 4 Big Ten team, right? The alternative was you had a couple of unprovens. He is also unproven, but it just gives you another potential guy to lead your way as opposed to the alternative.
Yeah, I never envisioned a world where if Nico left, they just said, well, we got two here. Yeah. You've got two guys that can fill your quarterback room out. You don't have anyone filling the starting chair out. Now, in, I guess, an imperfect world for Tennessee, that's kind of a suck it up, it's tough, deal with it sort of thing. In this world, though, with the second portal window, which is the very mechanism by which they lost their starter, I never thought that there was going to be a situation where they didn't go get one. What I'm glad of, David, is I assumed Tennessee was going to have to go and poach someone else's starter. And instead what happened is their departing guy shook a tree 3,000 miles away to the point where a really, really good edible piece of fruit fell off of it, and he just happens to come to Knoxville. So it's not like you're watching some really good G5 team that's done everything right say, oh, we lost our quarterback at the 11th hour. Our season's screwed now. At least it did work out. People want to call it a trade or whatever. At least it did work out to where the collateral damage was minimized, I guess is the best way to put it.
Josh, I don't know if you saw Heather Didich's report yesterday. It had a little line in there that caught my attention. I think it caught social media's attention, talking about the spring meeting starting in Frisco this week. And it says a model in which each Power 4 league can earn guaranteed spots through a combination of this team's overall record and maybe even TV ratings. Sorry, but that just seems like a weird meeting that they had when they're brainstorming and they're throwing all these things on the wall. Like, yeah, why not do TV ratings? Let's have The View participate in the college football playoffs.
Careful.
They don't have good ratings.
Yeah. So yesterday I saw that screenshot that was circulating in the highlighted part and everything. So I intentionally just didn't even read it. I'm going to read it today because I'm probably going to do something on our show about it tonight. But I will say this. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
Ever.
I think that the college football playoff people at every turn, when there's been a new proposal or there's been a new wave of change on the horizon, they've always been really good at the Overton window concept of, as it stands now, we don't think the public's going to love this. However, if we float a rumor that we're considering something insane, and then at the 11th hour we don't do that insane thing, what otherwise would have made them mad will then be accepted as, well, normal. Hey, we can deal with this. This is palatable. Now, this is stuff you learn in a high school logic class, but since you're dealing with people who think you and I and everyone else are idiots to begin with, they really do believe they can copy paste that strategy over and over and over again, and it'll just work, and the SEALs will clap, and they'll pay their money, and we'll just move merrily along on down the road. I will just say this. I would be pretty severely shocked if we ever actually do get a format implemented that bakes in television ratings and viewership numbers as part of the selection criteria.
I don't know if you read the NCAA's rule changes that are potentially going to be ratified after the House settlement. I'm looking through them and it just seems like they're putting things out there that are going to be decided for them anyway. I almost feel like we'll do this once this happens, but we're trying to stay ahead of it, and they're actually completely behind it.
Yeah, it's like if I sell my house and then I'm going over all the added benefits of, David, not only am I going to sell you this house, the floors will be swept. I'm going to clean the kitchen countertops. I'm going to remove my car from your garage. I'm going to do all that for you. And you look at me like you would, and you'd say, I know, I just bought the place. Of course that's going to happen. I read that the same way. I looked and I said, wait a minute, where's the surprise? Where's the stuff that's involuntary? Where are the wins for you? And it was very, very little. And you know what? Even still, though, we stand in this world where there are still stacks and stacks of NCAA rules or conference rules in some cases that I look at and I say, I don't even think those would bear the weight of legal challenge. It just so happens that no one's challenged them. And one of them, and I want to say this quietly because I actually don't want anyone to challenge this, is that rule where you cannot transfer inside the SEC in the spring window. Because I'd be fascinated in an alternate reality. I don't want this to happen, but in an alternate reality where we could just play things out theatrically, I'd love to see what would happen if you had a headline, Nico's transferring to LSU, and he's going to challenge his eligibility in court. How would that play out? How would that pan out? And then the other one that I am talking with a lot of people about right now, but this is a little ways down the road, is if they ever get that employment model, if the players ever get the employment model, David, how many industries do you know where the people are employees, but they're told you can only work in this industry a maximum of X years, 5 years, 4 years? They don't really exist. That's kind of part of the employment model. The employment model, as long as you're good enough to be an employee there, unless you're fired for cause or you retire, you're going to be employed. And so that's what a lot of people behind the scenes are wondering. Well, if we go employment model, what stops a kid from playing 9 years in college football, especially those those borderline NFL / undrafted free agent types, much less the ones that aren't good enough to play in the NFL. Because you could earn more in college than you ever would in the NFL. Plus, you'd probably wash out in the NFL. So just a lot of things that I don't know bear the brunt of legal scrutiny that haven't been met with legal scrutiny yet that I hope get resolved before they're met with legal scrutiny.
Do you think in that world they can say you have to take at least 12 hours of class to be considered a student athlete? Or like how would you make that work? Because you bring it up and I'm like, what's to say that you can't, do that in court and get your day to play even longer?
I don't even know how academics factors into that world, to be honest with you. I know we have grown up forever thinking ignorantly, if you're a college football player, that must mean you're in college. Well, how simple-minded of us, right? Because what we didn't know is every kid was a professional already and forget school. Now, I'm a person who still believes that should be the case. If you're a college football player, you ought to be taking classes, but who knows how many. Actually, I think the majority believe that. They're just drowned out by the minority. But I don't, in a future employment model, I don't even know how that looks. And then also, here's the follow-up that I've had. It's kind of attached to this, but it dovetails down a different road. To get that, you have to collectively bargain it. I think we all understand that. And then you say, okay, well, who collectively bargains it? Well, the players do. Which players? By the very definition of what college football is, you've got guys here 3, 4, 5 years max, especially the ones who are going to be the big earners, 3 or 4 years. So I assume you have a players association, and then who decides what the players association is? So many questions I would prefer not to answer or discuss, but they just kind of float around in my mind.
But it does make me wonder, though, are we going to have college football? Are we going to have college football? It sounds like it's just such a stupid question, and then does that move over to the high school ranks? All these rules that are changed. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, Josh, and I don't think anybody is at this point because so much is already out.
Yeah, newsflash, they aren't either. That's why the mess exists. So here's one thing I've always taken solace in. You just asked a really good question. That's the DEFCON 0 question. That's the break glass in case of emergency question of, wait, are we going to have college football? Well, when people say that, I smile. Even if I myself have those concerns, I smile because what we know is every network out there, ESPN and beyond, has seen fit to spend billions of dollars to acquire the rights to broadcast these games, which means they have to have the games. Not only do they have to have the games, they have to have the games at their maximum in terms of viability, popularity. They didn't pay for damaged assets or eroding assets. And so I have always believed, and I still believe, the answer to calibrating and fixing the messes that we have now in the plural in college athletics will ultimately fall at the hands of conferences, but also television networks, because those are the ones who really need it. We could live in a world where the NCAA didn't exist tomorrow and no one would care, but we're never going to live in a world where those conferences don't exist, and we're never going to live in a world where those networks are happy saying, well, I guess that's just a sunk cost. We spent $15 billion on college football. Oh, well, people don't care anymore. They can't have that. So whatever fight needs to be had to maintain the value of that property in the public's eyes, they've got to wage that war. That's who's ultimately got to fight it.
Josh, couldn't they just, and one last thing on this whole topic, because it makes my head hurt when I start thinking about it, because I feel like there's an easy solution, but I just can't figure out that easy solution. But the easy solution to me is go back to what name, image, and likeness was supposed to be. Exactly that, name, image, and likeness. Go away from this pay-to-play model, right, and use the clearinghouse for legit Verizon, Domino's, sponsorships, car dealership sponsors. Legit, that is how you can make money, and it's going to be based on your popularity still using the clearinghouse.
Yeah, I think there's another, so I agree with you, but I also think there's another thing. Let's say the clearinghouse does not have the legal leg to stand on. That's the concern, really, is right. You cannot police market value. What is market value? David, there have been times in history where a group of people have policed themselves. Now, a lot of people are about to laugh at this, and you probably should because it's probably impossible. But I will say, if I were making several $1 million a year, if I were making low millions, if I were making low seven figures as a coordinator, I would realize I'm in a world that's extremely lucrative. We're all making a ton of money as coaches. People who cover the sport, in some cases, are earning in the seven figures per year. So you look at it and you say, might we want to maintain the sanctity of this even if our own rules aren't enforceable? Might we just want to enforce them ourselves? Now, that sounds like collusion. It is kind of unwritten collusion. That's kind of what it is. But what it is an understanding that, guys, we have got to be less penny and more pound, or less pound foolish and more penny wise of understanding. Yes, I could go snatch this kid off that roster and pay him $500,000 a year more. Yes, I could. In the broader scheme of things, for the greater good of the entire ecosystem, might I want to explore alternate means? Yes. Now, if that happens communally, then you're okay. Problem is, it only takes one rogue or three or five to upset the entire apple cart. That's kind of the situation you have now. Most guys, most coaches, I know because I ask every one of them about it, would love to operate on a police ourselves model. They'd have no problem with the conference, the league office doing it. But every one of them will tell you, hey, as long as he exists at this school, then we know it's going to happen. And if they're going to do it to us, we're going to do it to them, and law of the jungle at that point. So I wish there was more of an appreciation for maintaining the ecosystem regardless of what outside entities can do to police it, because I wish it was capable of policing itself, but that's probably more fairy tale than actual plan.
Let's talk about the characters in college athletics for a moment. I'm talking about Lee Corso here, who became a character, but a beloved character, the way Dickie Vitale became a beloved character, the way that I think Pat McAfee is becoming in his own right with all sports, right? Just for a moment, reflect on Lee Corso, and even though the last couple of years a little bit of a struggle at times, there's so much love for him and his passion for the sport and his passion to broadcast, to be honest.
Yeah, I think in the future, when the story is told about Lee Corso, the last couple of years are an afterthought. No one talks about Jordan with the Wizards, for example. It's just so much of an afterthought. So I've always been a believer that when you achieve legend status, you just go out on your terms. And if your terms are you hang around a few years past your prime, so be it. That's the small, quote-unquote, price we pay for having gotten to enjoy you all these years. The Corso story is so wild because I thought about it the other day from the angle of how deep in his life did he get before he ever went on TV? David, he was over 50 years old. He had coached or played at high-level football for 32 years, over 3 decades. And then he's in his early 50s, and he starts going and doing TV. Now, pause right now and think about someone doing that now. Someone's played at a high level and then got immediately into coaching, and they do it for 30 years, and they retire. Around age 50, let's just say. You could see that happening, and you could see him going and doing TV. But you never would think this person just did this for 30 years. However, his most impactful 30 years are still to come, because future generations they don't even know Lee Corso played. They probably couldn't tell you where he played. They would maybe know, if they're a student of the game, that he coached, but that's about the extent of it. They're going to know him from TV. So think about telling him that at age 50. Hey, bud, I know you've done this for 3 decades and poured your entire life into it. However, what people are really going to remember you for, 3 decades worth, it's still to come. That's the craziest part of that whole story to me.
I'm going to actually add something to that. And it's not a fair comparison, but in a way, Charles Barkley has done that, right? Like,
I agree with you, actually. And that's a Hall of Famer from the player's perspective, and is going to end up being remembered by many people who were only just now kids and starting to grow up. They're going to remember him as a broadcaster, as the dude who said anything at any time. That's crazy, because I'm Charles Barkley, Phoenix Suns, Space Jam. It's also a big caveat to have on your resume. But someone who's 10 years old right now says, who did Charles Barkley play for? He looks big. He must have played somewhere. Who did he play for? And you're like, wow, that's how quick time marches on, I guess.
Hey, one day I'm going to tell you my Charles Barkley and buying him a drink story. That'll come in on a future episode, because there's a good one. I want to close out with this quick thought. And I don't know if it's a quick thought, but there's certain legends in the sport, in all sports, right, that maybe when they were playing, I didn't appreciate very much. But towards the end of their career and afterwards, I've really, like Kobe. I was not a Kobe guy, grew up a Rockets fan, worked for the Mavericks, so I was kind of anti-Kobe. And then towards the end of his career, and especially the Mamba mentality stuff that came afterwards and the way he went about his work, I really appreciate. And Nick Saban is that same way. As an Aggie, I couldn't like Nick Saban when he was coaching. I saw him on the Ryan Clark podcast a couple months ago. It was fascinating. And I just think certain people like that, you can remember them differently. I always knew he was the GOAT, but then hearing his process and the way he broke things down, and then Lane the other day on Theo Vaughn's show talking about that exact process that Nick Saban did, I just don't know if you've had people like that, that maybe during they were kind of an enemy, and later on you're like, I appreciate them more differently than I thought I would have a few years back.
I'm trying to think who that would be. It wouldn't be someone I looked at as an enemy. I'll tell you, I look back at Greg Maddux. I was a kid when Greg Maddux pitched, and I knew he was good. I did not understand. First off, I didn't appreciate the substance, the performance enhancer era while we were in it, because I was 10 years old. I had no clue what steroids were. But for a guy to be averaging 88, 89 miles an hour on his fastball, to be not just good, but dominant through that era, looking back on it is mystifying. But in the moment, you're thinking, oh, he's just another of the really good pitchers in baseball, but he doesn't throw as hard as the other guys, so I'm not as impressed because I was a kid. I got Randy Johnson and Roger Clemens, and then there's a guy, his ball never goes straight, and it's 89 miles an hour. I had no sense of how much appreciation I should have had for Greg Maddux while he was looking back. Unbelievable. Plus, you can go watch his games now because most of them are under 2 hours. Yeah. They're on YouTube, and you can just get through them like that.
I saw a video recently where they talked about he gave up a home run. I think it was to Lance Berkman on purpose.
It was Bagwell.
It was Bagwell. Yeah.
I've been consuming all this stuff. It's great.
Yeah, it is awesome. Josh, I appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, David.
Later, man. Josh Pate on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. I always love our conversations. We'll hit a break. We'll come back, open segment. Then we'll talk to Andrew Monaco. Right now, if your car was hit by the recent hailstorm, it was like a month ago, 5 weeks ago, don't trust an out-of-town pop-up tent with your car. Trust somebody who's locally owned and operated business. Classic Collision and Restoration. They specialize in paintless dent repair for that hail damage repair. They are the ones to call. Don't let these out-of-town pop-up tents show up and tell you they're going to do this and that. They're already out of town, most of them. Some of them are just call your phone. They'll use the 979 area code. You find out they're actually in Detroit. We don't need you from Detroit, all right? Keep your business local. They've been around for 25 years, and they want to bring back your cars to their showroom form. Top quality auto repair, Classic Collision and Restoration here to help. No one in the Brazos Valley offers more of the same quality and service detail that they do. Don't just get your car fixed, get it restored with the good people there at Classic Collision and Restoration, Aggie owned and operated by Doug Leopold, class of 1993. It is Classic Collision, call Classic Collision and Restoration today, 979-779-8399 or online at classiccollisionandrestoration.com. We are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Midway through hour number 2 of the program, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Typically on Wednesdays, we have Pat Henry in studio. I think we'll have him tomorrow. If not, we'll have some of his track athletes. I know you got some stuff for us, Mr. Reed Neal.
I do. So earlier we highlighted a bunch of Texas A&M athletes for Player of the Week, but one that we did not talk about was Deborah Sharono. She broke the A&M school record for the 1500 meter on Saturday at the Oregon Team Invitational with a time of 4 minutes and 15 seconds, or 4 minutes 15 seconds, 0.99. And then on top of that, A&M as a group won 12 of the possible 22 events, and 5 all-time marks were recorded, and 7 personal bests were also recorded. That's fantastic. Let's try to get one more story in. So we have kind of a pessimistic comment on the text hotline. Seth and Brian says, sometimes stats don't lie. We do not have a dominant pitching staff. A few great guys, but overall not elite as a staff.
Nick, those stats you gave me, they were top 10, correct?
One of them was let me get them to be exact. But, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. I mean, there's definitely Weston Moss, right? He's the proven arm in the bullpen.
He's been proven
up to this season.
season.
Up to this point in the season, I should say. He's proven. Luke Jackson took a big step in that direction this past weekend, right? But outside of that, I kind of agree with that, to where you're not exactly sure what you're going to get out of some of the guys coming out of the pen, but they've all shown flashes, right? So if I said they were elite, maybe that's a step too far, but they've been good.
They've been really good, and I also think, look, we are deep into the season. I recognize that. But there was a point where we're like, this offense is terrible. And the offense has figured it out. Yep. I think we know enough about Ryan Prager that I'm going to keep giving him time.
100%.
Yep. Right? Like, I'm going to keep giving and Lampkin too. I'm going to keep giving them time. Not that they've been bad, but I think they can be better. So while elite may not be the right stuff, I also think this is a pitching staff. As things, look, there's been little micro eras of this season where the defense was really bad. Been fixed for the most part, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay. Offensively, there was issues for a big part of the beginning of the season. I would say that's been fixed over the last 10 games, correct?
Yep.
Next order of business, maybe it's the starting rotation, trying to get back to what they were when the season started. Because when the season started, the starting rotation was fantastic. That was the thing that was keeping the Aggies in games.
And I think Prager has shown, flashes of returning to form in recent weeks. Lampkins, I don't know if Bronny would agree with this or not, but I think he's been the most consistent throughout the year. Miles Patton had that one rough start against South Carolina. So we'll see how they continue to evolve.
Yep. Good stuff, Nick. Thank you. And thank you, Reed. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco, best voice in the business. Also the nicest guy in the Brazos Valley. Kevin Ricketts, him, Royce Hickman, those three are just like the nicest humans I know. Right now, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. That's Aggie Land Express Car Wash. They're the first green car wash in College Station. And in Bryan, they recycle 100% of their water. You got 2 great locations, the William B. Fitch one behind the Shipleys in South College Station, the original. Then the newest location, 2528 South Texas Avenue in College Station across from the Planet Fitness. They both offer all those wash options that you want. But the Texas Avenue location offers the full-service wash. They're the newest in the town. They'll take care of everything for you, and they have 3 levels of service. So what we'll do is we're going to give one away. The first caller at 979-693-1150, you're going to get that $40 value at the Texas Avenue location, a free car wash. First caller, 979-693-1150. It is Aggie Land Express Car Wash. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco in studio with us. Hello, sir.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. So, buddy, I think we both, you, maybe I, predicted this baseball turnaround, right? What a turnaround over the last month, man.
Yeah, it has been. And so if you're going to go through struggles at some point in the season, when are you going to do it? And when it's early, you kind of panic, right? Oh, my gosh, when's it going to? And when you see the turnaround, we've talked before, you're seeing an identity emerge from this team. But you're also seeing a team saying, okay, that wasn't working. We're not going to keep on running the same lineup and the same players out. What changes can we make? Also nice when you get a little healthier, isn't it?
It does.
That definitely helps. But it's good to see. I'm really, really happy for them. I like the run that they're on.
I didn't predict it. I was kidding about that. It felt like the season was over in my mind, but there was a part of me that's like, but I know Jace is better than this. And what happens when Caden is back, right? And I know all these guys are better than there. And then the pitching staff was really good early.
Right.
They've had their struggles, at least the rotation
starters,
recently. Yep. I think they're going to get back to normal too.
That's my thought too. Like it's just not going to be the same. And it's not like, oh, throw Ryan out on Friday and that's my start and I'll just get back on the mound next Friday. No, they're going into the lab before they do that and the bullpen. You make a great point. I think the reinsertion or insertion, it's not right? Because he wasn't in the lineup. I think Caden Sorrell gave it a huge boost. And now, go through the lineup a little bit, David. TK now knows what it's like to be an SEC leadoff hitter and what he needs for this lineup. Jace is Jace, as Arkansas found out this past weekend. I think you got to give a lot of credit to Wyatt Hensler in that to protect Jace, but also the year that he's having. But then Caden in that 4 spot and Bear Harrison in that 5 spot, really big. Caden a little more comfortable. That lineup got longer, right? Blake Benderup works through all his problems. Ben Royo being there. And who do you want? You want Poppy giving you a little excitement from I joke with this. I said, does anybody take a walk better than Jamal George? Gavin Grahovac says, does anybody take a ball better? You know, you need that kind of stuff. So it's coming together. Are there still flaws? Sure. Does every school have flaws? Yeah. Who covers them up better is going to win a series. But I just love the way they're playing, and I think you can see that they are now putting pressure on other schools and other pitching staffs, and they're playing cleaner. Let's talk about that.
100%.
And we're getting some questions answered in the bullpen. There's still some out there, but we're getting some of those questions in by Weston Moss, what he's done, and Luke Jackson in that outing in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Game 3 of that series was phenomenal.
They say that you're not supposed to care if a guy's a good guy or not, or it's just about results, which results are the big thing. But I like Michael Early. I'm happy for Michael Early. I want success for Michael Early, and I know you feel the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's they're not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean you're a winner and you have to be a bad guy, right? He merges everything. The thing that gets, and I know it's his first year as head coach, but it's not his first year coaching. It's not the first year of with he and Caleb Longley and the entire coaching staff working. This lineup has been good since he has gotten here. And that trust that the hitters have had with him, and now that they're gaining with Caleb Longley, that's the beauty. Yeah, great guy. Not so much waited for the moment. When the moment came, he seized it. Went through the rough patches. I think it just makes him a better head coach. I really do. Because then what happens if everything's clear sailing, then you hit a problem, and you don't know how do I handle it? Unfortunately, it came early. But then when you see that success, that just leads to team confidence. And he's never changed. Yeah. That's Michael always being Michael. And for athletes, when the head coach doesn't change through whatever, I think that instills even more confidence and makes you work a little bit harder.
A couple of moments in the sand that I think happened. I think the Kentucky series where he got heated. Yes, the series went a certain way, but that was like a moment for people to rally around. And also, I think Tony Vitello showing him a little grace and saying, hey, if people would have judged me on my first 20 games, they would have a different opinion of me as well.
Yeah.
I think those all kind of at least gave good perspective of who he is.
You knew that Michael was going to fight for his team, right? You're going to do that. It wasn't just hey, look at me. He's not a look at me guy. It's just not that way. I think I'm going to add something to Tennessee and Vitello. I think the way they like John Sheshik said it after the no-hit run rule. Okay, what are you made of now? Mm-hmm. Are you going to come out and have some pride? He wasn't predicting sweep. I think that bounce back and then to out-volunteer Tennessee, they outslugged them, they outpitched them, they outplayed them. If you also remember in that doubleheader, That's when they started running with the double steals. You're going to let this team go. So again, this didn't work. And Michael even said, look, we got some barrels on some balls. It was Liam Doyle's day. We didn't get any hits, but it wasn't like this discouragement of, you know what, let's blow it up and do something different. The doing something different was, let's put a little pressure on. And they responded to that. And those 2 games weren't close, except for the first maybe 4 innings in game 1 of that doubleheader. And I think the way they did it to Tennessee, I thought that was also, if you talk about moment in the sand, yeah, look at that. I think those 2 things combined, and I think Vitello has a little bit of respect.
Yeah.
Going back to what you're saying, not just the talent, but knowing a little bit more of who they are. And I was impressed when he was working on MLB Network, the draft. We're talking about Braden Montgomery and Christopher Cortez, and even when Ryan was drafted. Again, he had to face them, but at a certain point, you've got to tip your cap to that kind of talent. Did he have success against them? Absolutely. But I think it's that respect. I think it's what all coaches would say about other players from other schools. But I'm with you. That we will look at those 2 moments as 2 very key moments in the season.
I also want to talk about evolving expectations. Basketball team, right? You had a great non-conference. You're like, this could be a 2 seed, maybe a 1 seed. The 4-game losing streak in the middle of the SEC schedule, you start changing your expectations. They do better at the end of the year. They beat the number 1 team of the country, and so you start changing your opinion of them, right? When they beat Auburn. Baseball, I think the same way. You had this expectation of getting back to the College World Series and maybe even winning the national championship with Michael Early and these guys, another run. Then it's reality. You get hit in the face. This is not, you get injuries. You're not playing as well as you thought. You may not even make the tournament. Now, it feels like they're headed towards the postseason and potentially great postseason run. How do you kind of look at expectations because baseball is one of those sports, you got to look at the final product. You can't get caught in just one little moment.
Can't. But that moment can snowball, as you know. How do you handle it? So you have to realize with basketball, right? Here we go. We're doing all this. To your point, the 4-game losing streak. Okay, how do we turn it around? Okay, let's beat number 1 at home, and let's also, you know what I mean when I say get Wade Taylor his record, right? Jace was going through the same thing about a record, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that it's in your mind.
It's an obstacle, right?
You have all those things. You also have to, you can't always be an underdog. So I thought basketball, at times you could be, but when that number shrinks next to your school's name, those expectations change. And they can change over the course of a season. Then for basketball, and I think it was played beautifully, you lose the 4 in a row. Oh my gosh, the world is crashing, this and that. Here comes Auburn. They were back to being the underdog, which they were good. But then even in the favorite, they were fine. They go into LSU and they did what they had to do. For baseball, if you're bringing back the same team, for a lot of the same players from last year, yes, you absolutely should be the preseason number 1. But the reality hit of Gavin's shoulder was never, like he played hurt all his freshman year. Never said anything because that's Gavin. You're taking a key part out. You're taking a key part in Caden Sorrell out and trying to, now you have everybody else who wasn't in Omaha who has come here. They've watched you, but now it's almost like a little bit of a new role for them, and it takes a little bit of time. And then it becomes, well, their own expectations, right? I think that gets it too. And I'm just going to say the names. I'm not going to say that they were overwhelmed, but Gavin Cash is like, well, if Gavin Grahovac's out and Caden, I've got to do all this. No. You just need to be Gavin Cash, and you just need to be Bear Harrison. It took a little longer, but Bear took off. Tip your cap to Jacob Galloway for being the catcher. And then it's not just, oh, this lineup has to be good. Well, you've got to field cleanly. So all those elements come in. Yeah, there is, and you should always have expectations. This team, after 22 going to Omaha, a lot of them came back in 23, and I know it ended in the Stanford Regional. But when that season started, they said, we run 2 expectations. I think that team's here. I think the path has just taken a little bit longer, but I think those expectations and how good this team can be is back.
Let's do a little football in the next segment.
Let's do it.
I didn't even ask you. I just told you. That's how we're going to do it here. All right? One more.
I can't even back out. I mean, I've just been ordered.
It's kind of expected a double segment with you, Andrew. Let's just be honest. We'll hit a break. Right now, Ground Shuttle, they offer frequent, reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. If you're trying to get there, you know the parking situation in Bush is terrible, right? It's expensive. It's crazy. The traffic is horrible. Let them do it for you, right? They'll take you there. You go to South College Station right by Casa de Brazil. They'll take you there. It's awesome. They have 9 shuttle times on the weekdays every hour and a half and 5 shuttle times on the weekends every 2.5 hours. And they also have charter service. They can book any vehicle in their fleet to accommodate your group size anywhere, in Texas, what you need to do is check out groundshuttle.com. That is groundshuttle.com. Say hi to Camilo, groundshuttle.com. The voice of the Aggies with us, Andrew Monaco. Andrew, I have this weird relationship with the spring game. I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I don't expect to learn anything.
Correct.
And then I'm upset when I don't learn anything, even though I know I'm not going to learn anything. But there's something about going to Kyle Field, preparing for a game. I write notes the same way of it being like the biggest game in the season. Like my process doesn't change, but I also know if Marco Jones has 5 sacks, I'm not going to expect him to have 5 sacks in every SEC game next year. But I see it and I go, oh.
Maybe he will. 5 times 8. Oh, he'll have 40 sacks in the SEC.
I love that.
SEC.
Yeah, but there's a weird love and not hate, but a weird like, I know I'm not going to really learn anything. But what it does allow me a chance is to see some athletes that maybe I haven't seen before.
I agree.
And that's what I like about it.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I think, You know, I've used this phrase with you, and starting now is where it applies again. The work in the dark. So as fans, the work in the dark is when they all get back after the bowl and the workouts through January and the lifting and all of that, and then the practices. And we get to see some of that. And I'm with you. I'm always excited about the new names. Was there someone on the cusp last year, Miles Davis, let's say, on the back end that was playing, he played pretty well. And then you see the name again in the spring game going, oh, that's right, he did play well. He was cracking that lineup. I love that. I like to see guys who are coming back from an injury if they're able to play. If not, again, there's no reason for them to line it up and hurt. Always be safe. But how are the young players developing for the future? Because we can say, oh, wow, everyone's gone, and forget, you know what, there are a couple freshmen. The linebackers, I think,
they look good.
Are set. Yeah. Just because you didn't see them take a snap last fall doesn't mean you're not going to see them take a snap next fall. Correct. Or the ones who don't want to work, so long. 6 runs both ways, right? And then you see, and then also, okay, who came in? And who do we see the new names who came in the portal? I think if we readjust how we watch a spring game, but to me, it's just, I like them because there is an excitement. I like it because a lot of times it's during parents' weekend. You know what I mean? And and I think it just adds to it. But I'm with you. But it also scratches a little bit of the itch, but you have a little more of that itch waiting for what happens in the fall. But this time now, between we gather in the fall, when it's brutally hot, right? This work right here is going to determine who's in the offensive 11, defensive 11, who's going to be first, second team. This will, if you have the determination as the athlete, it's this work right now. I think that will pay off. And we may be surprised. Oh, I can't believe so-and-so. Yeah, it's for what he's doing right now on his own. You don't have to be told by anybody.
You know, the comedians sometimes will try and act, and they'll do it for weeks until they refine it. I have this take in my head that I haven't fleshed it out just completely yet, right? But to me, Marcel is the biggest potential, not gamble, the biggest upside potentially in the SEC. I know Arch gets a lot of love. He's already kind of in that top third, right?
Right.
But I look at Marcel and I think his passing's got to come a long way.
Sure.
Right? I do.
Sure.
But what we've seen at Marcel at his best is ridiculous. Okay? So, and I don't expect the LSU Marcel to show up every game. No, that's
why?
I'm not ready to go there yet.
I got you. But he can.
But he's done it, right?
Right. So that now, we talk expectations. You've got to be that good every week now. And I think Marcel likes that.
Yeah.
I think that, there's a responsibility at quarterback. It's unlike any other position, right? It's unlike any other. So that's got to be that every week.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Marcel owns that type of drive. I really do.
I agree.
And I think to the point of, you could say he had a decent game. Mike Elko told me that. There was a game earlier that the numbers looked good. He wasn't satisfied. I love hearing that out of an athlete. And it'll never be anything against a teammate or anything. It's, hey, I didn't do it. So how do I avoid doing that again? That's what, to your point, that's what I think it is. And I think it's that drive, determination, the work ethic in Marcel Reed. I want to be the best, but I'm going to do what I need to do to be the best. Not just, I'm QB1.
Yeah.
Everything's going to come. I think there's elite athleticism there. And David, you can't teach that.
We got about 45 seconds. What do you think about this? To me, the biggest thing about Marcel is whatever scenario he's been thrown in, he thrives. The Texas Bowl, the Florida game, the LSU game, the end of the USC game, it wasn't his fault that they lost that game. Right. He seems to the moment's not too big for him.
Moment's not too big. And he's been through, it's never going to be another first for him, right? He's been through it. So now there's even more of that knowledge. The other key, we were all talking about first-year coaches, right? Now it's Mike Elko's second year.
Right.
And you're seeing that consistency of what he wants. I'm excited about what's to come.
Andrew, I appreciate it.
Pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, when we come back on TexAgs Live, a little more Aggie baseball, Scott Livingstone will be joining us, Ball 5 podcast, and of course, an Aggie legend. That and more, it's TexAgs Live. I'm picturing Scott Livingstone in the 80s just jamming Beastie Boys in the background, getting ready for some kind of summer training or some kind of game. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Privilege of speaking to an Aggie legend, 4-year starter, etched his name in the Aggie record books, holding an outstanding 18 school records, also has the Ball 5 podcast, which is fantastic. Scott Livingstone joining us here on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. What's up, Scott? How you been, bud?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. You let me sleep in a little later today. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you joining us here on the show. Let's talk about how they've turned this season around, because I don't think we've talked in a while. I think since the beginning of the season, I was a little baseball depressed, right? Like I was like, what is happening to my team that I had this high expectations for? And this rise up kind of coincides with what we know is happening this weekend. It's like kind of perfect timing for it all. So just kind of take me through this journey of them getting back to being one of the better teams in baseball.
Yeah, I think we, as a player, you kind of view it differently than the fans do. I mean, we're not inside their walls, their clubhouse, or anything like that. So, we don't know what's going on. We know they're doing the work. We know they care. We know they're going to keep fighting. They're just competitors, and that's what you do as an athlete. You want to compete and be the best you can. So I know that they've been doing the right things, working as hard as they can, and I really think, I think it was kind of like if it's not broke, don't fix it from last year. We lost a lot of home runs, but then we also brought in a lot of home runs from the guys that transferred in, and I think we tried to we were more relaxed about that and thinking that's going to happen. And when it didn't start out right away, there was a little bit of panic, but I really think the Tennessee game where they threw the no-hitter and run ruled us, it was kind of like the next morning it was like, oh my gosh, can't get any worse than this. So let's just go out and start having fun like we've done before and just keep battling through. And I think that's what did it. And I really think it helped playing a doubleheader that day, because then you're able to keep that momentum and not have to go sleep on a win and then wake up the next day and it's a new day. They were able to continue that momentum. And I think they got another taste of what it was like last year and just having a good time and having fun with each other again.
How much grace were you giving Coach Early initially? Because, I mean, in the moment, it's hard, right? I understand, especially from a fan's perspective, like, this is the team I expected to get. You got all these guys coming back, and you're not playing that way. But in reality, he was juggling so many different things. Rookie head coach, a lot of expectations, losing star players left and right. Like, there was a lot that he had to manage and also figure out how to lead this club.
Yeah, and he's never done it before, right? He's been an assistant coach, so it's his first shot at it. It's in the SEC. He's at a big-time brand with a target on their back from last year, so they're going to get everybody's best game. Even the Tuesday night games you saw early on, they were trying to win those games. The opponents were, they were throwing some of the guys that threw on the weekends or were weekend starters for them to try and get a win or get a close out of games. So they were going to get everybody's best shot. And as far as grace, I gave him a lot more grace than people in the forums. So I think I just understand it and I get it. But I was frustrated too. But it's his first time, and we do have to give him a little grace and look what he's done in turning around. And I don't want to say he was in over his head, because he wasn't. But I think he was trying to be too perfect and just not letting things go where, go with his gut. He was trying to think things through and maybe thought too long on it.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Scott, let's talk about Jace Laviolette, because, again, kind of like the Aggie baseball season, the start of the season wasn't fantastic. I had Andrew Monaco in studio a little while ago. We're talking, the thought about the record was obviously there, and he wasn't producing at the clip that we were expecting or used to. All of a sudden, that dude's a beast again. And if you look at the whole numbers, because baseball is something you got to look at the entire season, he's right there in it all.
Oh yeah, Jace he's a beast, man, and he's always going to be, a threat at the plate. Doesn't matter if he's on a hitless streak. Everybody's still going to be afraid of him at the plate, right? And you don't want to see him coming to the plate in a tight game, and because he's got that power to turn the game around. And Yeah, I think I heard him say he'd be lying if he wasn't thinking about the record and setting it, because you could tell when he ran around the bases after he hit it, it was like, oof, it's over with. I'm done. I've got it. And he's able to kind of just turn it loose from there. And just to be able to do the things that he does on the field, I mean, taking the walks too. I mean, when you're trying to break a record or something like that, you might start swinging at pitches out of the zone and trying to do more than you really should. But he dialed it back and took his walks. And, everybody knew the home runs would come and he would break the record. It's just a matter of time. And I think the way he's handled it, the way he's gone about it, yeah, I mean, he should be a top 10 pick this year in the draft, and that's evident from what he's been doing.
Let's talk about the bullpen this weekend. You had a couple guys just shining, Luke Jackson and Weston Moss. But really, when you look at Weston Moss all season long, man, that guy has I think one of our listeners compared him to Evan Aschenbach. He's been so good for this bullpen. And then you throw in Luke Jackson's most recent streak. I mean, that is a duo right there.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've been a Luke Jackson fan for a long time. I think his stuff, it was electric, even though he's had some ups and downs. But I still think, once he gets that confidence and they get confidence in him, I mean, he's going to shine. Moss, man, I tell you what, that guy, it's almost kind of been like Friday night. You throw Prager, and Prager goes as long as he can, and then we bring in Moss to tie it, to nail it down. And throwing as many innings as he does maybe on a Friday, hopefully he doesn't have to, because maybe he can come back on Sunday. But you burn him in that one game, but you go for it, right? You got to win that first game, and so you just go for it. So hopefully he doesn't have to throw as many innings. But I loved his interview about the changeup. He goes, guys just struggle with it. And he goes, they struggle with it. And I throw it like 80% of the time. And I loved it and I could relate to it, because one of my best friends in the big leagues was Trevor Hoffman, Hall of Famer, reliever for San Diego. He made the Hall of Fame because of a changeup. I mean, that's pure and simple. And I faced him one time. I knew it was coming. He struck me out. I hate to admit it, but yeah, he struck me out on all changeups. But it's the same thing with Moss. I see a lot of the similarities between those guys, because you can know it's coming, but then you still can't hit it. And he was in a situation with Arkansas. Is it Aloy, the shortstop? I think that's how you say his last name. At that one game, and he came in and he had 2 strikes. I think it was full count, 2 guys on the bases, and the guy's obviously a big time player, and he threw him a 3-2 changeup. So to have the confidence to do that and throw it at that time in the count and throw it at any time in the count, the guy's tough, man. And I agree, Aschenbach. When they came in, you could see all the posts. People say, game over, lights out, turn off the lights, we'll see you tomorrow. I feel the same way about Moss.
Talking to Scott Livingstone here on TexAgs Live. Scott, let's talk about Ryan Prager, because he's somebody kind of like Jace that I think he's kind of going through it right now. And he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been the Prager that we're used to. In my heart, and sometimes I hold on to hope a little bit longer, I think he's going to figure it out, because we've seen him do it year after year at Texas A&M.
Yeah, and like Jace, like you said, I mean, they're too good not to figure it out. And that's how you kind of knew, when you could give them some grace early in the season, that these guys are going to figure it out. They've been doing it for a long time. They've played so many games. Ryan's pitched so many innings. And just his calmness on the mound and the way he approaches it, I mean, it's work. And he's going to compete and keep going out there. And I believe, I don't know if it's a turnaround, because he still is throwing pretty good. Sometimes the run support wasn't there, and that could hurt too. And you could press on the mound trying to, make pitches or try too hard, be too fine, and walk more people than you're used to walking. But I think he'll turn it around. I mean, they're athletes, and they're just going to keep digging.
Scott, do you remember a stretch in your career where you had to take on top 5 teams left and right? Because I mean, A&M, they beat Tennessee, who was 1, Arkansas, who's 2. This weekend, they get number 1, Texas. They get LSU at home in a couple of weeks. They get Georgia on the road. I think they're number 5. Like, they're not even halfway through this murderer's row. But man, the success so far.
Yeah, I've thought all along that this, starting with Tennessee, that was going to kind of be where the season started, really, the conference, because, nothing against the other teams, but this was the gauntlet that we were going to have to go through with the ranked teams. And no, I've never played any teams a stretch like that before. And I probably don't ever want to, and I never will. But, it's a situation where I just think these guys have the right mindset. It's one game at a time. And I listened to Jace yesterday, and he's like, you know what, we're thinking about Sam Houston State. So having that mentality it can only help them, and just knowing that they're just good players. They're good athletes, and they've been doing it for a long time. And no, it's kind of a murderer's row, but geez, look how they've handled it and what they've done. And so if it doesn't give them the confidence to just go in and play as good as they can, as well as they can, and then let the chips fall where they may, I mean, the expectations are being hit now that we expected from them. And I just think it's just going to continue.
How hard is that, what Jace just said, that we're just focused on Sam Houston State, considering that this is the game, this series is the series we've been talking about since June because of what happened with Schloss, considering it is Texas in the SEC, considering they're the number one team in the country, all the storylines you want to throw out, even if it wasn't Schloss who was the skipper over there, right? Like all the things, like how hard is it to really focus on Sam and then focus on game one against Texas and so on and so on?
Extremely hard because they're thinking about it. They may not be thinking about the situation and stuff from last year because we have a lot of new guys that weren't involved in that. And so I think that's going to kind of play something into it where, the guys in the clubhouse, they're probably not asking questions about, hey, what happened last year? And the guys from last year aren't talking about it. So, yeah, they're thinking about it. And, I mean, I've tried to watch Texas on the SEC network sometimes just to see what they're like. And I don't know. I just get tired of looking at the burnt orange on TV, so I don't watch it that long. But, yeah, they're definitely thinking about it. They can say that they're not, but they are. But they're still focused enough on Sam Houston State that they know they need the win.
The core group, not everybody, but the core group played an inning away from a national championship. They've had the expectations, the bullseyes, the lights, right? I'm curious how they'll respond, and then conversely, how Texas will respond, considering that, yeah, they were, a good team. They're the number one team in the country. They deserve that ranking. They played great. But I'm just curious, with all the extra eyeballs, how that affects maybe both sides.
Yeah, it's going to have an effect. I mean, I would know if I'm playing, I know that I really got to dial it back to not try and do too much. Kind of like early in the season when I was watching the hitters and they were struggling, I felt like they were all trying to win the game with one swing or do really well for the whole team instead of just focused on their moment in the batter's box or on the mound, whatever it was. And so, yeah, you want to focus on everything and get the team together. And I think with the core group, yeah, I mean, they are going to be thinking about it. And it's tough. It's Texas. It's hard to really talk about because it's like, golly, and this is a week I've been waiting for too. So I'm ready to get Tuesday over so we can start talking about the weekend.
Now, we grew up in a different generation, Scott, so it's different, right? But how realistic is it? And I'm not even sure Coach Early would do this or should do this, but hey, guys, the rest of the season, get off your phones. Don't look at social media. Try not to go out and about, and especially this week with everybody who you run into at the restaurant, the bar, the grocery store is going to want to talk to you about this series. Stay home, study, get off your phone, focus on baseball. How realistic is that in today's world?
It's not, because it's everywhere. Yeah. It's at your fingertips. You see everybody on their phone looking around, and I'm really glad that it wasn't, part of when I was playing, because it was just, nobody, you didn't have to read any negative stuff about you. You didn't have to read anything from somebody else on the other side talking about you and posting things, but it's just the world we live in. And so it's very difficult. And I don't think he would ever say, put up the phones and just turn everything off and just focus on this, because they do such a great job of focusing on the game at that time. And I think if he changes it up to where it's like now they're whatever they're doing during each day, they change up their routine, it might throw them off. So I just keep everything the same.
Yeah. What makes Schloss so good? Because he is good. I mean, I know we don't want to have an opinion we want to have a negative opinion of him for what he did. But, the guy is a fantastic leader of a college baseball program. One of the best.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my wife the other day, and I was going, you know what? Even though I hate to say it, he's won everywhere, and he's done really well. And yeah, he had his fingerprints on this team last year, and even a couple years before. So yeah, he's good. He's good at what he does, and I think it's one of those things where guys tend to play really well when they don't like their coach. I mean, sometimes, you just go out and play. And I just think it's a situation where he knows how to get the best out of his players, and whether he looks, like things he shouldn't be doing, he's doing. He just knows how to push people's buttons.
Does he have an advantage this weekend because he knows A&M so well? Or does maybe Coach Early and the Aggies have an advantage because they know exactly how Schloss diagnoses a team and prepares for a team? Or is it a wash?
Yeah, I think it's a wash. That's a really good question. And I think it's just pretty much equal because they know each other so well inside and out. They know what they've done inside the walls the previous years, and they just can just really figure it out and maybe plan ahead. Maybe they might overthink and go, oh, he's thinking this, so I'm going to do this, and maybe that'll turn out in our favor. So, yeah, I think it's a wash.
Scott, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. I talked about Jason, the resurgence, but that all started with Caden Sorrell back in the lineup. And I mean, from the moment he stepped back on the diamond, good things have been happening for the Aggies. So just talk a little bit about what he means to this year's team, what he means to the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, last year on my podcast, I said, do not sleep on Caden Sorrell. I said this early in the season because the guy is a super athlete. I love his swing, left-handed swing. He looks so calm in the box. It's just a calming effect. He's kind of like our 3 starting pitchers. You know, you're like, is his heart beating or what? It's just kind of, there's a calmness out there, and it allows him to do well, but it's also confidence. You know, he's gained some weight. He's feeling good about himself, and he's just a super talent. So putting him in that lineup, I've heard Coach Early talk about it adds depth to our lineup. Well, for sure it does, and it adds another bomber. So having him inserted in the lineup when he did and kind of coincide with this streak that we're going, it had a lot to do with it.
Let me add another name to that, Blake Benderup, a guy that Coach Early really believed in early when he was struggling, for lack of a better word, and he has been delivering recently. What do you see from Blake?
I see more confidence with him. I see him when he takes a strike and he thinks it's not one, he'll turn and say something to the umpire, not in a negative way, but maybe asking, is that as far as you're going to go outside or whatever? Just getting that information. And I think he needed more time just to kind of mature through the at-bats and figure things out. And I know they changed his stance. I think it looks good. I mean, he doesn't really need a lot of movement. Like Jace doesn't have a lot of movement either. I mean, they're both 6'6", and they can really, put it on the ball and do some damage. So I think mentally it's done a lot for him. And when you make some changes and you have some success right away, it can go a long way for your confidence and just keep you rolling.
Scott, considering the damage that they did early this season to their resume and what they're doing right now to fix that resume, do you think they are on track? I mean, right now, the season ended, I think they're on track for the postseason, but still considering what's ahead, do you think this is a postseason team, and what kind of hay can they make in the postseason?
Oh, I definitely think they can make it to the postseason, and I think they can do well. I mean, the teams, they ranked them number 1 at the beginning of the season for a reason. Right. So they had all the talent, what they did last year. And I think they've overcome that early start. And everybody seems like they're beating everybody. I mean, Vandy swept Georgia, I think, this weekend. And teams are just beating up on each other. And so, yeah, I think we can make it. I think we're going in the right direction. And I think we're just getting better and better and they're building their confidence. And, they can do in the postseason. I mean, we may not host, but nobody wants us in their regional. Nobody. They don't want those guys coming to plate. They don't want to face our staff. They don't want them. And I'm telling you, we can do some damage. And, I mean, if Tennessee was number 1 and Arkansas was number 1 at one point and we can do that to them, then, I think we can get it done.
Scott, there's a world where they could still host, right? Like, that's so weird to say considering the season felt over after that no-hitter. Like, that felt like a funeral, and what it was the rebirth.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, I don't know exactly all the things that they look at for hosting. I know it's RPI and stuff like that, but when you start to look at crowd, venue, the parking and things like that, I mean, A&M's got all that. So it'd be a great host site, and I think they'll take that into consideration if we're on that bubble of being a host. And I think it'd be awesome if we could host, and it'd probably be the biggest turnaround in sports.
Hey, Scott, tell us what's on the Ball 5 podcast. I know you're constantly having new shows.
Yeah, I've actually haven't taped one in about 10 days because my wife and I started a screen printing business in 2020. So when we have custom orders come through and they're really big, it's all focused on that.
Yeah.
So, but I've had some guys on this year, Hensler. I mean, I really enjoyed having those guys on, and they're just good people.
Scott, I appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. Scott Livingstone on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, Luke Evangelist in the studio will do some Ags and the pros, and maybe try to get a little update on basketball. No, maybe I'm going to ask him, and we'll see if he'll tell us anything. He always likes to keep stuff to himself. Right now, the Association of Former Students is the place to go if your business or your organization is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, because they just bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about the fun ones, guys. We're talking about Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, The Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are also many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. These events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand, and they include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with other Aggies, choose a partner that's been with the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A few minutes ago, we heard the birthday song being presented to Nick Savage, and you said,
let's sing it to him on air, because it's Aggies and the Pros, which is a segment that
it's a celebration of
Aggies.
success.
I'm going to leave. Good luck running
Nick
the rest of the show.
Is a professional Aggie who deserves to be celebrated, not just for 10 minutes once a week, but 24/7.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I went maybe a 30-year stretch without singing the birthday song.
Yeah.
Like when people would sing it around me, I felt stupid. I just look at everybody while they're singing. And then I had kids, and then I became a singer again.
Right.
But I only sing the birthday song for children.
Okay, well, Nick's not a child, but I still think
My
he deserves to be celebrated.
And their friends.
And Reed, we can start the song if David doesn't want to. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Reed.
Happy birthday to
Please.
you.
Who's the director of content? Thank you.
Happy birthday,
I just dropped one of those on
dear
you.
Nick Savage.
No! Can we do Aggies and the Pros?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Yes, happy birthday, Nick.
Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with some UFL. because we
Okay,
had
the
some-
United Football League.
Yes. I'm glad you...
I know it now.
Yeah, now you know it, and it's not the USFL.
I wanted to go back to the XFL or the USFL.
Because the XFL was like, had all those crazy rules, right? Like they were doing the 1, 2, and 3 point extra points.
That's dumb.
There was all this other crazy stuff.
Have you seen the documentary on
Yes,
the original
I have,
XFL and some of the rules that the actual NFL implemented?
It was more like entertainment than actual football.
Yeah.
Which
All right, let's
isn't
get
bad.
into it.
Okay, yeah. It was Aggie on Aggie Crime Week, essentially, is
Okay.
what happened, because the 4 Aggies in the UFL all played against each other. You had Kellen Mond and Anthony Hines facing off.
Anthony Hines had a monster year so far.
Yeah, he has, but Kellen Mond actually got the better of him. The
All right,
San
Kellen.
Antonio Brahmas finally got in the win column. It was 0-3 against 3-0, and the 0-3 San Antonio Brahmas, led by Kellen Mond, actually pulled off the...
How did Kellen play?
I'm about to tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I'm leading into that.
Thank you.
They pulled off the 24-18 win. Kellen Mond was 14 of 20, 70% completion percentage for 121 yards and 1 passing touchdown. And Anthony Hines still had 5 total tackles and 2 solo tackles in the losing effort. And then on the flip side, we had a bit of a less performance-based game, but it was still Aggies playing Aggies between Jay Sternberger and Leon O'Neal. They faced off as the Stallions took down the Roughnecks 23-16. Sternberger had 1 catch for 15 yards. He's still kind of struggling to find his rhythm.
Yeah.
But like if you remember 2 years ago, he led the league in receptions and receiving touchdowns and set the record for the UFL, even though it was only 2 years old. He was still at the top of the league in a lot of receiving categories. Just hasn't really unfolded for him that way this season. Leon O'Neal had the pick 6 last week. He didn't record a stat this week, but he's still top 10.
They won't throw to his side. They know.
They know. Look, I hate to bring back an old callback, but Leon is waking them up. If you remember, wake him up 9. If you remember, he's finally waking the league up. But sometimes that means it's not going to show up on the stat sheet because they know to stay away from him because he's waking them up.
We're all awake. We're not woke. We're awake.
Exactly. Let's go to the NBA. We've got Quentin
That was for
Jackson
Nick, by
and
the
the
way.
Pacers. What'd you say?
That's it. That was for Nick.
Okay.
Sometimes I do little jokes because I want to see how Nick will react.
There's like a glare coming off the screen, so I can't see him, but I can see he's got a spiffy polo on.
Yeah, he looks good.
And it does look good.
He's a good looking dude.
Again,
today.
happy birthday, Nick.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go to the NBA. Quentin Jackson and the Pacers have a 1-0 lead on the Milwaukee Bucks. He didn't play in Game 1, but Game 2 is tonight at 6 p.m. If Q was going to get some playing time, maybe they blow out the Bucks again and he can find some playing time.
Yep.
Some players who did get playing time were DeAndre Jordan and Alex Caruso.
In the league for 90 years, DeAndre Jordan.
I know, but he's still kicking. He got 4 minutes, had a rebound. All right, he's in there.
He's in.
And
Okay.
the Nuggets and Clippers are playing like the most entertaining playoff series, I think, first round in a couple years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the game.
I know, but you're the king of absolutes. The greatest.
Ask Cade Bickham. We watched the end of Game 1.
I
It was
know,
phenomenal.
but like
Game 2 was even crazier. It's a crazy series.
You say these. Okay. You were alive when the Golden State Warriors, the 8 seed, upset the 68-win 1 seed Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
That is more crazy.
Well, not for my Mavericks. That I'm choosing to forget that. But I'm telling you, if you love NBA basketball, which there's not a big population out there that does, this is the playoff series to watch.
Remember when you
is
told me
Nuggets
Auburn was the
Clippers.
greatest team ever?
Statistically, at that point in time, they were the highest rated Ken Palm team. But you know what? We don't need to deal on the past.
UNLV.
all right?
Done.
Exactly. Well, Auburn would beat them. Anyways, Game 3 is Thursday night at 9 p.m.
Yep.
If you want to watch DeAndre Jordan and the Nuggets take on the Clippers in a wildly entertaining series, I think it's one of the best first-round series in recent history, just based on 2 games. But if you don't believe me, you'll have to see for yourself. Alex Caruso and the Thunder put BTA. Am I allowed to abbreviate that? BTA on the Grizzlies. They won by 51. So Caruso and a lot of the other bench players didn't end up playing a lot. Ja Morant did not end up throwing grenades into the crowd as he has been accustomed to doing lately.
Nice.
But Caruso only played 11 minutes because he's coming back from that ankle injury that kept him out a week and a half. He had 3 rebounds and 4 assists, still very efficient in just 11 minutes. And game 2 is tonight at 6:30 p.m. You want to go to the MLB?
We've got time for maybe one MLB note.
Okay, Braden Montgomery's on fire. Hit his 3rd homer of the season. Looking for a call-up in the White Sox organization. He's hitting .327, an OPS of .997 with 3 homers, 17 RBIs, 8 walks, and 6 stolen bases.
You want to remind us, Aggie basketball, what they're kind of juggling right now?
They're juggling visitors. A lot more loaded of a week in terms of visitors. A lot more high-level Division I, like not mid-major players. They're still talking to mid-major players, but the visitors this week are a lot of Power 5 guys. Ranging from guys who were pretty productive starters for teams. The known quantity that everyone knows about is Duke Miles wrapping up his visit today. They're going to have to hold off teams like Tennessee and USC to get him to cancel that visit and commit before he goes on that visit, just like they did with Jakari Lane in Memphis. And then they've got some other guys that we're not allowed to talk about at the moment that were Power 5 guys. And a lot of players right now on their radar of, if Bucky can close on a couple guys this week, that roster looks a lot better than it is right now and looking like a team that could actually contend in the SEC towards the middle of the pack as opposed to starting from the bottom.
Yeah. Well, hey, but now I'm here. Thank you.
Exactly.
Luke, appreciate that. Shout out to Aubrey. Right now, attention landowners, Bird Dog is more than just hunting. They are the premier Airbnb for the hunting experience, but they're also Aggie-owned, and they want to make sure that you know that you can connect to hunting experiences through their platform. They're fantastic. They want you to unlock your hidden value on your land as well. If you're a landowner, some of their landowners are earning an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land through their specialized tax optimization service. It's beyond agriculture and wildlife exempts. They also identify the tax benefits that you did not know existed. So if you're running cattle, if you're managing farmland, if you're maintaining hunting property, work with them and they'll work with you. They want to provide a personalized consultation package to help your land's financial potential. What you need to do is go check out birddogit.com. That website again is birddogit.com. Go check it out. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk some Aggie softball here on the program. We go to the Buppies Catering Hotline, joined by Tara Henry, the GM of Softball America, and of course the head coach of Great Britain's women's softball team. Tara, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Ready to talk some softball. How about them Aggies?
Yeah, well, look, when I first met Trisha a couple years ago, I'm like, God, there's something about her. I think she's going to be really good. But then you've seen like each year's development. Just, from afar, what do you think about the job she's been able to do?
Just incredible. I think in just 3 short years to take over Texas A&M and to do what she's doing in the SEC, which is arguably the toughest conference in the nation, and to get to that number 1 ranking so quickly in just 3 years, it's really impressive. And, I talked to Coach Ford this morning, and, I asked her that, and, she said it's players like Coco Woolley and Emily Kennedy and Trini Candidate from a year ago, and Rylan Wiggins. It's just, they've been able to build something really, really special. And I've always loved Trisha Ford's teams, and they just play with grit, and you can never count the Aggies out. And I think that's why you're seeing this team be so successful so quickly, because it's that ability to come together as one group and have a mission that is not just a singular individual mission, it's a team mission.
It's one thing to be number 1 now, but they want to be number 1 when it's all said and done. And I don't know if the new poll's out just yet, but does this team, in your opinion, have sustainability? Can they win a national championship?
I believe they can. I think what we're seeing is the Aggies are learning how to do it in different ways. It's not just dominant pitching, and you've got a lineup where over 8 hitters are hitting above 300, and there's a lot of talk about Maya Perez and Mac Barbara, those 2 heavy hitters. But also, I want to talk about KK Dement. I'm taking a look at her numbers, and she's got 20 extra base hits. She's just behind Maya Perez, and I don't think we talk about her enough. We talk about Mac. We obviously talk about Coco, but just been really impressed with her and Emily Kennedy in the circle. Anytime you've got a lefty that throws 70 plus and can do what she does, it's just going to be really tough to beat. I think we're going to see whether Sydney Peters comes back day to day, but been really impressed with Lesentine and the rest of the staff picking up the slack and really just getting it done. It's not always pretty, but winning ball games is the key here. And when you have all those pieces, it makes it a lot easier to make a run at the Women's College World Series.
Tara, you hit on something that I think is interesting, because you got young players on this team like KK and Maya that are leading the way, right? But it's also got the good blend of, you've got the veteran players as well. Like, I think if you could draw up what you want a team to look like in today's modern college athletics, it would look like a roster with that kind of imprint. Young, and also a lot of veterans.
Well, I think it's a really good mix, just like you said, and obviously plugging in through transfers and having the ability to recruit, because out on the recruiting trail, you'll see Trisha and HoF and Harger out there hitting the recruiting trail really, really hard. So just getting in some really good talent and then being able to go into the transfer portal and get exactly what they need. And like you said, a Mac Barbara. And I faced Mac Barbara internationally. And let me tell you, she's tough. She can hit bad balls. She can hit good balls. And I think this is a squad that is really scary. And we saw what the Aggies did last year, just a season ago, in that super regional, really, really giving Texas a run for their money. And I think in just 3 short years, again, Trisha Ford and that staff have just done an incredible job bringing that young talent and some veterans that have been laying the foundations for this program for a couple of years to be in the driver's seat, really, heading into postseason.
Jerry, you look at the way this team wins, too. Sometimes they win with small ball. Sometimes they win with the long ball, which early in the season, long ball wasn't a thing. They were falling behind. But they have so many different ways of beating you. Sometimes it's defensive gems, too. Talk about that, especially when you get to the postseason, where you're going to take on these awesome pitchers all the time and having different ways to win.
That's what's so great about having an offense that can do it all, because sometimes you're not going to be able to hit the ball at a yard. everybody loves extra base hits. They love to hit the ball of the yard. But when you can bunt, you can slap, you can have some back control, you have speed on the bases, you can put pressure on opposing defenses. That's huge. And I think I spoke to Tyler Pounds, the SID, and he gave me a really great stat. And I was thinking about this. The Aggies are 8-2 in one-run ball games. So, and I think that has to do with this offense and their ability to scrap and score runs, and 4-0 in extras. So if you're leading a team that has the ability to win close ball games and win ball games in extra innings, it's really the recipe, like I said, for a team to keep an eye on, and one that you can just build on heading, again, to the end of SEC play and into the SEC tournament, which is going to be, it's going to be fun.
Well, let's take a look at the week at a glance. You got Louisiana tonight and then the Arkansas series. Again, another top 10 team on their schedule, but that's life in the SEC.
It's week in and week out, and I think it's grueling, and that is probably the hardest part is right now is that attention to detail, staying mentally focused. And when I talked to Coach Ford, she was saying, she just told the team, we need to stay on it. And we need to have intent in everything we do, whether that's weightlifting, whether that's our nutrition, whether it's going out to practice and doing the little things right. And so right now, that mental toughness and how they go about their work and their business is the toughest aspect, because like you said, they're going to play Arkansas and then they're going to play a Tennessee team, which our poll just ranked at number 1 this week. So it doesn't get any easier. And then you get into the SEC tournament here in Athens, and that's just going to be a fun one as well. So I think paying attention to detail and doing the little things the next couple of weeks are going to be really, really important for the Aggies.
Tara, last thing for you. When I look at what happened last season, that Texas postseason series, that I feel like that was not only an introduction to who this program is and going to be, but also, look, I would have much rather them won and gone to Oklahoma City and played in that. But that being said, that I know is a lingering effect that they're still feeling on this roster this year.
Absolutely. Anytime you put up a fight like that and are so close to tasting it and so close to making it to Oklahoma City, I think it just makes you work harder in the offseason. And that's what I heard about the Aggies, and going back to work and doing the little things during summer and knowing what it's like to almost get there. And so I think there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder heading into this season, and there was. And, that group is always gritty. They're always scrappy, and you can see that. And nobody wants to face Texas A&M in a regional. And I'll be honest with you, you just don't. You don't want to face that team. And so I think heading into this season, it was something that they put in their back pocket and are continuing to draw on, knowing what it felt like to just barely miss out on heading to Oklahoma City.
Tara, great stuff. Let's do it again soon, okay?
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Tara Henry here on the TexAgs Live Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a little around the SEC notes with Nick Savage. Right now, Rollo Insurance. When insurance matters most, who's going to answer your call? That's Rollo Insurance. You can call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. You'll get a personal agent's cell phone number, right? You're not going to be calling some automated phone tree. They got you, right? When you call, they're going to take great care of you. The difference is real. With there are over 60 offices in Texas, and they got offices all around the great country that is the United States. You knew that. You knew what country we were in. Whether it's home or auto or business or ranch insurance, start a relationship with experts who put you first. They want to become familiar with your specific situation and provide a customized protection plan that will help you in any situation. The website, again, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. I think agricultural families understand something that others sometimes miss. Life moves in seasons, and each one matters. Farm and Ranch Films, the newest offering from Heritage Films, help you bottle those moments before they're gone. Imagine your grandchildren not just seeing what your operation looks like, but understanding the principles that built it. Chance McClain and his team don't just film interviews. They create cinematic legacies with a Netflix-quality production, a documentary, if you will, for the daily routines to the once-in-a-lifetime moments. They capture what makes your agriculture story unique. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit yourheritagefilm.com, or click on Farm and Ranch, or you can call them. I'm butchering this one too. 713-893-8341. Today's just been a day of butchering live spots. I mean, just a butcher. They call me the butcher. Around the SEC, I'll get this one right. Presented by Jack Sir with Nick Savage, by the way. If you are looking to build your dream home on your lot, let Jack Sir Group help you navigate the entire project from start to finish, making sure your home perfectly suits your lifestyle, preference, and budget to turn your dream home into a reality. Visit them at jaxsir.com. Nick, don't butcher this segment, please. Go.
I'll try not to. Just a quick NFL draft note, at least that's coming up Thursday is when it kicks off. And there's some SEC prospects, of course. I'm sure you could place a bet right now on how many, players from the SEC will be selected, and they'll blow any conference out of the water, probably SEC, Big Ten. But first round, at least, is what we're going to focus on.
21.
No, goodness. Well, I didn't count them up. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
18.
6, 7. Projecting 7
God, I was way
from
wrong.
CBS's Jonathan Jones. This was his mock draft. He's got Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, coming off the board first. Missouri offensive tackle after that, pick number 7. Georgia edge, Jalen Walker, pick number 8. Kelvin Bakes Jr., very good tackle from Texas, going off the board in the 10th pick. Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss defensive lineman, going with pick number 11. Matthew Golden, the Texas wide receiver, going at 12. And the lone Aggie in Jonathan Jones's first round mock draft, Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M edge, going with pick number 22. So we'll see how that plays out. How do you feel about the draft, David? Like, I know there's very mixed emotions in this office. Richard absolutely hates it. I know there's some guys that work back here that really love it. Matthew Dawson eats that stuff up. I only care when there's Aggies involved, I guess, is how I want to look at it.
Old man of the clouds, yelling at the clouds moment. I used to love the draft back in the day because it was like this. I'd wake up early. I think they used to do it on Saturdays, Sundays, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. I'm fairly sure I'm right about this. It would start Saturday morning. You wake up early and watch it with Mel Kiper and the guys and Chris Berman. It was great television. And I was really invested in my NFL team. Like when I was a kid, it was the Oilers. And then a little bit later with the Texans, I liked it. I worked it a lot. I worked the NFL draft many, many times. In fact, I even went to, where did I go? I went to Philadelphia in 2017 for the NFL draft. I think it was the first year they did it outside of New York. It might have been the second year. And I went, and of course I took a picture by the Rocky statue because I'm that guy. You knew that would happen, right, Nick?
Of course, yeah.
Of course, yeah. I had to do that. I had to run up the steps like everybody, like a bunch of losers. I was doing it with them. But I was there when they drafted Deshaun Watson. It was awesome. I love it all.
It is smart of them that they moved it out of New York and they're going all these different places. That definitely brings more intrigue to it. But the part that gets me is why, like, I get it's first round. They're making big decisions for the remainder of their franchise. But why do they get like 10 minutes in between picks? It's just like.
Is it that long? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is
like
it
the
10
first
minutes?
round, they get like 8 to 10. I swear. It's like 8 to 10 minutes. Reed, back me up on that. It's something ridiculous like that, right?
I don't think it's 10
You don't have to look it up, Reed.
minutes.
But
No, look it up. Look it up. We got 30.
in the first
right.
round.
It's his birthday. He's right.
He's right. It's 10 minutes?
It's something ridiculous.
It's 8 to 10 minutes, yeah.
It's either 8 or 10. It can't be or. They don't like, you know what? Cowboys, you get 2 extra minutes. You got it. Texans, sorry. You're going to get 8. And you, Cincinnati, you get 5. That's not how it works.
10 minutes. They get 10 minutes. Thank you, Cade Bickham.
That's too much. If you don't know, if it should be like speed dating. You got 30 seconds. You better figure out who you want
It's like
now.
they're like, yeah, exactly. You don't think they know now? They've had all this time to figure it out?
If you got a GM on the phone, we'll grant you a minute 30 extension to get that trade done. That's it. But then they wouldn't fill a whole 3-hour show and the advertisers and yada, yada, yada. Whatevs. Tomorrow on the program, a lot of great guests. It's Wednesday. I should know. I do know. I won't tell you. But you know, it's the same show, I think, with an added wrinkle. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you all mañana.